Hello, chat. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another day of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about, we have Inside Wildlight, one game idea per day, the true story behind Highguard's wild 4-year development. We're going to talk about Inside Xbox. The game studio is trying to renovate itself, which is about Obsidian Games. We're going to talk about Epic Game Store. Exec admits that the launcher sucks, says improvements are on the way. And then if we have time, we have a Starfield one called Starfield would be talked about like the second coming if a new studio had put it out. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. If you guys see the little emotes going around, you guys want to test it out right now? If you guys put a bunch of emotes in chat, they should fly around behind the screen. I added that little fun thing for you guys, so you can do that. Also, we have the message board working, as Jesse Mack says. 30 Take Two officially said that their earning call yesterday that GTA 6 marketing begins set in the summer, and Take Two still coming to release GTA 6 November 19th, 2026. So there you go. You got all the emotes flying in the background. I like it. I actually like it. It's not too extracting. No. Extract, yeah. I can't even think. I have extraction on my brain, right? Distracting. It's not too distracting. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So there you go. You guys can mess around. I know. Sorry, my brain just went, right? So they should show up, and then they pop around in the background. Make a game, sell a game didn't go back there. I didn't see it. There's the Game Pass. Sarge got the Game Pass ones. All right, chat. Well, good morning. How's everyone doing? What's going on, Altern, Sarge, Eclipse, Travis? How's everyone doing? Who are we missing? We got Kylo, we got Jason, we got Silver, Subaru. What's going on? Thanks for coming in, hanging out with us. Roic, good morning. Who else am I missing here? Anybody else? Just enough. Good morning. I don't know if I said Eclipse. I say Eclipse again, just in case. Oh, look at you guys. Just enough. What's going on? Let me see how this works. Does this not work? Can I not scroll on this one? Ooh, that's not good. Oh, we might have to fix that. Yeah, I can't scroll back up. If I click here, does that go back on the screen? No. All right, well, it looks like I'm going to have to pay attention to chat if I want to read somebody's. All right, let's start off with the weirdest thing, which is just, it's a story about Amazon. I didn't know about this until Eclipse said something yesterday, right? Until Eclipse said something yesterday. Amazon Fallout Countdown turns out not to be a Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas remaster. Here's what it revealed. Now, if you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning. We just read stories for the first time on channel. You guys submit them in our Discord. I see them, or I bring them from Twitter in the morning right before we start. I don't know what the story is. I read it for the first time on stream, give you my thoughts and opinions, and then we get your thoughts and opinions from this live stream as well. All right, so Amazon Fallout Countdown turns out not to be a Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas remaster. Here's what it revealed. I didn't even know there was a countdown. I'll be honest. What's going on, Mr. Z? Right? I didn't even know there was a countdown happening. So the Amazon Fallout TV countdown that some had hoped would announce a Fallout 3 Fallout New Vegas remaster turned out to be nothing more than another behind-the-scenes look at the show. Why, Chad, do we do this to ourselves? Why do we do this to ourselves? Okay? It makes no sense to me. They show like this minuscule thing, and we're like, that's it. They're announcing Fallout 5. It's like, why? First of all, this sounds horrible. Why they would do something like this? Like Amazon, Microsoft, Bethesda. I don't know what's going on. What's going on, Anthony? Right? I don't know what's going on with the company. But obviously, if you put a countdown on a Fallout show, people are like, holy shit, this is it, guys. This is it. We're going to get Fallout 3 remastered. We're getting New Vegas remastered. They might even hint about Fallout 5 coming, right? And absolutely nothing. So earlier this month, a countdown appeared on the official Amazon website designed to look like a Fallout map. On it are locations in the Fallout map style, which, when accessed, lead to behind-the-scenes information on the show. For example, the Vault 33 outer door, from which Lucy first steps out into the wasteland, is on the south of the map. Okay, and then the airship that serves as a soaring fortress for the Brotherhood of Steel is in the east. And then ahead of the debut of the Fallout Season 2 finale, the top right was Locked Point, interesting, alongside a timer pointing to February 4th. Okay, so they got some fans' hopes up that the countdown was leading to the reveal of a heavily rumored Fallout 3 remastered, or equally heavily rumored Fallout New Vegas remastered, and it turned out to be neither. Instead, it was yet another interactive node, this time for a penthouse at the top of Lucky 38 Casino and the lair antagonist, Mr. House. Okay, so once the private domain of Mr. House overlooks the strip with the also commanding view of New Vegas, equals parts luxury and suite control center, reads the official description: step back in time to intersection and decadence and authority. Right? Clicking through leads you to a 3D interactive representation of the penthouse, which includes a short video interview with Mr. House actor, okay, about the genuinely impressive set, photos of the strip, and even a created gallery. This is great if you're also some of the extra Fallout information, but not the best if you're hoping for a new Fallout game. In truth, some had suspected that this would also be the case at best. Some also said it would also be a tease for Season 3 of the show. Now, I'm a person that used to love getting DVDs and watching behind-the-scene footage and stuff like that. So for stuff like this, I think that's great that they're doing this. But I also think it's a little, they're trying to hint and to certain things. But Fallout fans, man, they are hungry. They are hungry for Fallout. Okay, they're hungry for Fallout because not only when Fallout 76 came out, they thought that was the next Fallout game, and they were like, woo, and then they were very disappointed. Okay, even though it's turned out to be a good game over time, but they also fixed it over the last 8 years, 7 years. Okay, you have to know, and when you run this across the board up to the higher ups, that they're looking at this, okay, and going, maybe we shouldn't do this because maybe we're going to get people's hopes up, and they did, 100% they did. It says, which leads us to the next obvious question: what's going on with the Fallout remasters? They're still coming, okay? Fallout 3 remastered that leaked back in 2023. Is still in the works and expected to be a similar effort in the last effort of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. And then there's also Fallout New Vegas Remastered, excuse me, which is also reportedly still on the way, although we don't have any indication of either game will release. In a recent interview with IGN, we asked Bethesda developer chief Todd Howard its success of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, which has also seen over 4 million players since its shadow drop last year, was a repeatable trick for Fallout 3 Remaster. Howard kept his cards close to his chest, reiterated that the point he's still be making a lot of interviews lately. He says, quote, "We will just say that the Oblivion Remaster, we're really, really pleased with how it did, and it was also very long project too. It's not just how it was received, it's the ability to shadow drop it, and the response of doing that is said that we'd like to do that in games as much as possible. I love the moment that is to find out about the game." Okay, so the last mainline single-player Fallout game was Fallout 4, which also came back in 2015, and recently saw a release of the Anniversary Edition, and the multiplayer-focused Fallout 76 followed in 2018. And while fans slowly flocked to the West Virginia set open-world RPG, it wasn't until the premiere of the Prime Video's Fallout TV show that Bethesda series leveled up in terms of attention. I don't really know if that's the case, right? I don't really know if that's the case. Since then, I mean, a lot of people really liked the Fallout series back in the day, but here's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Travis says one of the executives literally was stupid enough to say Starfield would have been talking about a lot like The Second Coming if a new studio had put it out. I'm actually going to go to that next story, Travis. I'm going to go to that next story. How come I can't scroll in this thing? This is weird. Well, that sucks. All right. You guys liking that? The emotes in the background? I like that. What's going on, Waterbear? Waterbear says, why do we want remasters? Why just not new Fallout game altogether? Wouldn't that be better? I mean, I agree with you. You know where I stand on remasters and stuff like that. I mean, I was excited about Oblivion Remastered. We played it for like, I don't know, 3 days. Not fully days, but like 3 days. So maybe like 8 hours. And then I was like, all right, I'm good. You know, I mean, I get it that people don't know, like they don't know the game, and that this might be their first thing to it. So perhaps that's great for them. What's going on, worlds? What's going on, Wonder Rose? Good morning. Starfield Altered says, Starfield was the second coming of Bethesda until it didn't live up to the hype. Well, 1,000 planets, 16 times the detail, all the things. Right? I just feel. Let me go to this real fast. Right? I just feel that the hype that they do, a part of it is the fans, right? But just like Keighley did with Highguard at the end of the Game Awards show, showing us the last thing, that's a signal to you, the viewer, the customer, that, hey, this thing you should pay attention to, right? They know what they were doing with the Fallout Prime series by teasing people, going, oh, this could be something. They're like, oh, this is it. This is the lead up to the Fallout New Vegas. It would make perfect sense, right? We all think about it. We're like, they're doing a Vegas show. At the end of that, they announced that the Vegas remaster's coming out. It would make sense. It would be a good time. But obviously, it's really hard to align like the production, if they are doing a remaster, to line it up with the release of the show, right? And remember, now the show, they took the last 2 episodes and they pushed them forward, right? They pushed them forward as well. So another 2 weeks or whatever, because they probably said, you know what? We're not going to be done with this. We're not going to do a shadow drop in time. Just go ahead and release the things, so on and so forth, right? Who knows? But they have to know, right? They have to know. Sarge says, Water, because blue-haired DEI hired non-writers, narratives-driven, modern audience looking to asylum-heading mental cases that don't have deadlines that can't compete with projects. Kylo says it's due to Fallout 3 Remaster leaking during the Activision deal. People know it's coming, and they just want it to be here already. Yeah, because it would make sense, right? It would make sense that the show's out, so they would also do that. Jesse Max says, of course, Bethesda, they're forcing on Fallout 76, and now because they want to market TV show, just like GTA 5, if they give shark cards, they will now also never gives you a new game. Very true. Altern says, 7 planets, handmade locations, that's it. But no, 1,000 empty planets that are really bad main quests, just floating around collecting powers. That's the back of the box, Altern. That's it. That's the back of the box. That's what describes it. Eclipse says, it says the whole gaming community was also talking about it like it also needed to be put expectations. If it's just going to be behind-the-scenes crap because it was on Fallout website. I agree, but people are going to push this, and obviously people are going to write about it and say, oh, you know, this is it. I mean, again, as a DVD guy, I used to love behind-the-scenes stuff. I love watching behind-the-scenes stuff still. I'm actually pissed that when you watch movies on Amazon or Netflix, they don't actually put the like director's cut type of stuff. Where I want to watch the movie with the director talking and stuff like that. I would love if they put that on there, but they don't. What's going on, Mo? Good morning. All right, let's go to this second story here. Since we talked about Bethesda, and we have a lot of Bethesda stuff. We're going to go from this, and then we'll go to an Obsidian one. All right. So Starfield would be talked about like the second coming if a new studio had put it out. Right? How Bethesda lost the game of expectations. Okay. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. This comes from WCCF Tech. Following a string of successful releases, Bethesda has struggled to deliver the same level of quality it did in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Although 76 has received significant improvements since the launch, Starfield has yet to receive the same treatment as, aside from some major improvements, or minor improvements, and additional content. The latest open world RPG from the studio, essentially still the same game it launched in 2023. I want to put a pause here for a second. I just want to put a pause here for a second. Do you see the difference? And this is me not defending Starfield anyway, right? I enjoyed it. Doesn't mean you have to enjoy it, okay? I hated the main story. I thought the main story was the weakest part, as Altern said a little earlier ago. Okay, I thought the side missions were fantastic. I thought the handcrafted areas that they did we're good. Okay. Obviously, you don't need 1,000 plants. I said this before they even said it, right? They're like, we have 1,000 plants. It's like, oh, Todd, why did you do the 16 times the detail for this game, right? The 1,000 plants is the 16 times the detail. Okay. But I want to pause here for a second just to talk about this, right? We as a society want all games to be live service. We do. We just want it because now we're conditioned for this, right? Before it was a game was released and that was it. Maybe they did some fixes and stuff, but the only other time you're getting DLC is when they came out with DLC that you would purchase, which Starfield did. Okay. But because it's not a No Man's Sky, because it's not a Star Citizen, because it's not a insert game here where they're constantly updating, constantly improving it, constantly doing stuff, that's the issue. The good things about Starfield was it was the most successful, least buggiest game that they ever came out with. Okay? Because it actually ran well when it came out. Okay? The bad parts, there was 1,000 plants, there was nothing to do, but the good part was it didn't crash, it didn't, right? There's not bugs in it that are like game-breaking bugs like there was in Fallout 3, Fallout 4, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that went well for it, but there's a lot of stuff because the expectations every time the studio, any studio, makes a game that's a hit, the next game it comes out, it has to hit the bar. If it doesn't hit the bar, it's gotta go just a little bit above the bar. Okay? And that is the problem with Starfield. It was just like the last article we read, people were hyping up this countdown thinking it was going to be Fallout New Vegas or Fallout Remastered, and yet it was just a behind-the-scenes 3D rendition of a hotel room, right? Talking about the show, right? The population does most of the damage to themselves, okay? It's a good game. It doesn't need, like, if it just stands as Starfield, and they don't ever update it again, that's it. That's the game. But obviously, you could go back and play the game right now, and you don't even have to play Starfield. If you got it on PC, you can go get the Genesis mod, which is a Star Wars mod, which completely changes the entire game, okay? Completely changes the entire game. And I understand that's not from Bethesda, but my point is, if you're a player, if you're a gamer, you don't follow all this stuff, you don't really care about surprises or stealth drops or what the next, you're just enjoying Starfield. And you're like, you know what? I didn't know there was a mod that I could do this. Now you can enjoy the same game again, completely differently, maybe even better. Okay? So it's just a game. But because the society is that we want live service games all the time, we were just talking about MMOs are dying, in my opinion, because of live service games, right? So let's continue. Though it's undeniable that the game feels a little dated compared to other modern open world role-playing games, the Skyrim design lead thinks that Starfield would have been received much better if they put out by another studio without a burden of very high expectations. Now, just based on that, I at this point in the article, I kind of agree, but I got to hear whatever he says, okay? Because, and I've said this is why I agree with it, right? If a new company comes out, let's talk about Expedition 33, right? There was no expectations for that game. But now they have extreme high expectations for whatever game they work on next. If it's Expedition 34, right? If it's a continuation, if it's a separate game completely, right? You didn't know about the company, but now they blew you away. And all of a sudden, now you have these expectations of, oh man, I can't wait for them to come out with their next game, right? You, me, we all put this expectations on it going, oh, I can't wait. Right? We're fans now, right? We're customers now, okay? We love what they're doing, and we want more of it, okay? Bethesda, if they made shit after shit after shit, which make all the hate you want about Bethesda, people love Bethesda games. They love the Skyrims, Oblivions, the Morrowinds, okay? They love the Fallout. They want more of it because they expect from it. They love living in those worlds. Yet, you know what I mean? So, compared to open world games, yeah, the expectations are high. So he's saying if another company made this, if it was a brand new company, it probably people would have loved it, right? If a just brand new studio came out, made Starfield, be like, holy shit, this is amazing for this studio. But because it's Bethesda, obviously expectations are higher, right? So let's continue reading. Speaking with the Pressbox PR, Skyrim lead designer Bruce Nesmith has asked about the incredibly high expectations many have the Elder Scrolls 6, whose created engine is unlikely to be left behind for some critical development issue. An inevitable Fallout 5 and now also the game expectations may impact the perception of both games. He says, quote, I'm very fond of the phrase called the game expectations. It's also been trotting the game's expectations out as well over a decade. Bethesda is in a bad position of having expectations being so high it cannot be met. I kind of agree with that as well. Elder Scrolls 6, guys, right now is at a boiling point of it's got to be amazing because Skyrim was amazing, right? The expectations for Elder Scrolls 6 is astronomically high, and it's never going to hit it. It's never going to hit it. Okay. Where I leave off here. It says, managing expectations is a number one thing that good marketing department has to do. Let's take a look at Starfield. Let's assume that a new studio had put out Starfield. I suspect it would be also talked about like a second coming. I don't know if it'd be talked about a second coming, but people would look at it and go, yeah, damn, how many people worked on this? Who did this? What's their experience? Are they brand new developers? Are they people that have been in the industry? Did they leave a studio to come from another studio to start this one? All of these questions would be asked today. Okay. But because it was released by Bethesda, expectations were so much higher than it's been seen differently. Starfield's a good game. It's a very good game. It's just not the game that people expected it to be. I kind of agree with this. Okay. Because our expectations are so high in chat, I don't know if you can disagree with me, that's fine. I kind of agree with what he's saying. He's not fluffing it up. He's saying exactly what it is. If a brand new studio came out with this game, people would look at it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. Because of the situation of there's no expectations on it. You would look like, oh my God. They would start comparing it to other games and be like, this is better than, right? That's what it would be. But because Bethesda made Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, right? Fallout 3, Fallout 4, right? Expectations are extremely high. Extremely high. Which is not your problem. That's their problem. They keep making good games, so your expectations keep going up. Same with movies. First movie, no expectations. Sequel, you're like, it better be better than the first one. Okay? Although Bethesda lost the game a game of expectation with Starfield, the studio is in a better position for both Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. As according to Nesmith, the high expectations of Skyrim coming from Oblivion, whose remake proved successful enough on all formats, although nostalgia didn't translate into a great player engagement. And Fallout 4 were fully met. However, it won't be easy. He says, boy, do they ever have their work cut out for them. Okay? It's exactly right. Right? The expectations from Fallout 4, especially since it went down. It went down to Fallout 76. Now, Fallout 5's expectations are extremely fucking high. Okay? Say what you want again about Bethesda, but Bethesda has a lot of big franchises. Other companies would die for the amount of franchises they have. Successful franchises. Okay. Agreeing with former Bethesda lead artist Nate Perkypal about the challenges the sixth entry of the Elder Scrolls series will face. While Starfield has not met high expectations of Bethesda fans, the game reportedly has a shot to do so. With the rumored massive update, alleged launching this year is also the game that will hit PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch 2. This Cyberpunk 2.0 style update has also addressed some of the most common complaints, such as load screens, improved space flight, and more. Here's the thing about this, right? Do you see how we've already, as a society, right? The guy is, the way he's writing this, okay? It's the Cyberpunk 2.0. It's not the No Man's Sky comeback. It's the Cyberpunk 2.0, right? To address the issues of the game. Now, they're not on the same playing field. They're not. Bethesda and CD Projekt Red, you would think they're both big studios and stuff like that, but they have way more big games, and Bethesda's scrutinized way more than The Witcher, okay? Or I should say The Glitcher when it came out, right? People forget about The Glitcher. People forget about Cyber Glitch, okay? They just remember what it is now. So even if they come back, and I'll be the first one to say it, when Starfield comes out, and if they do make a Cyberpunk 2.0 moment, and they fix the load screens and the improved flight systems and do all these other stuff, what am I going to say, chat? What would I say? I say it should have been in the fucking game at the beginning. Okay? should have been in the game in the beginning. Not 2 years later, not 3 years later. Should have been done. Make a game, sell a game. Okay? Now, is the game terrible? No, Starfield's not terrible. People give it shit because it's Bethesda and its astronomically expectations are high. But it isn't a great game. It's a good game. Right? The main mission is absolutely garbage. The what you do to get your powers is absolutely horrendous. Okay? But the game itself, if you play the side missions or if you just want to be a space ranger, go out and collect bounties and stuff like that, that game does it. It's almost like an open world game, like you would play a survival game. You just you do that, right? So I don't think him saying what he's saying is wrong, because if it was a brand new studio or someone that didn't make a great game ahead of time and make great expectations, perfect example is the other games that are coming out like Mass Effect. You got what Exo, what is it, Travis? I forget what that is. There's two games that remind me of Mass Effect, and I can't think of their names. I'll wait for you guys to put them in. What's going on, Cisco? We have the TV show one, Expanse and Exodus. Thank you. Right? We have Expanse and Exodus. Now, the expectations of these games are not extremely high. People are like, oh man, they're a fan of the show Expanse and they want a game, right? Right? And now Exodus is coming out, which is trying to be, right? They left the studio to make a new studio to make the thing. And those two things are not going to be as high as expectations, but people are going to be like, hey, what's going on? Thank you, Dark Taco. Right? So they're not on the same field. Now, let's say Exodus comes out. Fantastic game. Blows it out of the water. It's this year's Expedition 33. The next game they come out with 5 years from now or whatever, expectations are going to be much higher. That's just how it is. Expectations are the destroyer of things you love. It's just what it is. But we didn't set those standards. They set those standards. They set the standards in movies, in music, right? In video games, right? It's so hard. It's so hard to expectations in sports. You win a Super Bowl and you got to try to win a second Super Bowl because your fans are hungry, right? They want you to keep winning. If you're a musician, you make this hit album. To make another hit album, the expectations of your next album are astronomical. And then they come out and they're like, it's just not as good. The first album was the best, right? This is what happens. Expectations just murder most things that are good. They're good, but the expectations are extremely high and we kind of ruin it for ourselves. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. I'm not asking you to lower your expectations in any way, shape, or form. I'm just giving you why expectations do this, because they made something you love and you want something that's just as good as the last thing they created. Again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some other videos. Thanks for watching. Let's see. Aku says Exodus looks like it's going to have issues. Expanse is being begging for funding. Neither really showing off the gameplay. Yeah, that's besides the point, Aku. I'm just saying, like, those games are not as extremely expectations are not as high, right? Jason says the way Bethesda is going, no one should be excited for Elder Scrolls 6. I agree. Your expectations, you should be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to hold off. I practice what I preach, right? If you don't think the game looks good whenever it comes out, like right now, look at Black Desert Online's second game, Crimson Desert. People are like, I don't know. Black Desert Online was very microtransaction heavy, right? They see what they see with Crimson Desert. The expectations right now are high, right? Could blow everyone out of the water. Well, guess what happens? If the game is exactly what everyone thinks it is and they think it's amazing, and it is amazing, the next game they come out with, those expectations will be like, did you see the last game they made? It's 1,000 miles wide and it's like 100 miles tall, and you could ride dragons and you could fly across the map. Like, what's the next game they come out with? What are they going to do to top the thing they just topped now? It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard for them. Sarge says Bethesda is not Bethesda anymore. Not the same people, just the name only. This is the same for many other hero studios. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I don't think that article is that bad by him saying that they get more shit because they're Bethesda. It's exactly what That's exactly right, because they've set the standard. They've set the bar. Crowd says, I played a handful of matches in Highguard. I didn't blow my dick off. But I definitely didn't hate it either. I mean, thank God you didn't blow your dick off. I've never heard anyone say that. I didn't blow my dick off. Like, I mean, I said today, Ginger Prime said something in Twitter, and I said, a broken game is a broken game. It's not done. Equals bad, right? Right? I mean, it is what it is. It's not done, though. And if it's not done, I can go play another game that wasn't done, but is doner. Krebsy says, come on, guys. Starfield is made by real devs who supposedly tried their hardest. They gave having 56 on Steam, 60 on Xbox. It isn't fair for them. Got to protect the feelings. Fuck the undercooked game. No protection here. No protection here. The article is just saying that if a new studio had it, it wouldn't have as high as expectations, which is, I believe, is true. Altern says their next game is Doki V, Pokemon style game. Yeah, blow my dick off. Whatever happened to Doki V? That came out like 4 years ago, but we saw, we're like, what the hell is that? Crowded says, I can tell you that the reinforcing the base crap they have you do is totally pointless. That's what I said. I said there's no point. It's like, we're giving you enough materials so you can protect these 4 walls. Okay? And then the other people protect the other 4 walls. And then all your protections, guy comes over, walks through the wall. Doesn't matter if it's reinforced. Doesn't matter. It's like, what's the point of reinforcing it if there's powers that negate that? Right? And then you shoot it a couple times. You hit it, you punch it, you walk through the wall. It's like, it makes no sense. Krebsy says, Doki V was put on hold to work on Crimson Desert and to further build out the engine. Okay. Well, why did they show it so early? Why did they show it so early? What did Krebsy, or not Krebsy, Water, you posted something yesterday in general. What was that? What was that? It was Shut the Fuck Up. It was with Lisa Simpson. Where was that? Lisa Simpson, right here. Right? Lisa Simpson says it the best. Right? If your game's going to take longer than 2 years to release, don't reveal it yet. Yeah. Or as I say, shut the fuck up. Right? If your game is going to take longer than 2 years to release, don't reveal it yet. Like, what? Why are you talking about it? Don't show it. Travis says, Starfield's expectations were huge because they made it huge. Sorry, but I don't feel sympathy for a company who does this to themselves. Understandable. But what he's saying in the article is saying that if a new studio started the game, they wouldn't be under these expectations. Hence why my whole rant was, of course their expectations are high. Because they made games that were people loved beforehand. There's still people playing Skyrim, for God's sakes. They never left it. They loved that game so much, like, I can't wait. Do you understand the expectations of Elder Scrolls 5 to 6? For those people that love Skyrim, those expectations are not going to be met for majority of the population. They're not. Look at Fable right now. Fable 1, 2, and 3, fantastic games. The expectations for Fable to hit what the other Fables are is astronomical right now. It's going to be very hard for Fable to meet expectations of the past Fable games. Especially since a new studio is doing Fable. Argus says, I 1000% agree with I don't want to see your game unless it's coming out soon. I hate being excited about a game and then having to wait 2 to 6 years to maybe get it. Yeah, to maybe get it. To maybe get it. Waterbear says, Sarge still plays Skyrim. It's his 120th playthrough. Yeah, you're not exaggerating. I think it's pretty close. Yeah. Yeah, he says, with a shit ton of mods. Yeah, it's what it is. I'm not saying, hey, go easy on Bethesda. They did it to themselves. Anyone that puts themselves in a position where they make something great and they have to keep making it to that standard, it's hard to do, man. Again, I'll do the sports analogy, right? The Patriots are in the Super Bowl again, okay? But they weren't in the Super Bowl for years, right? You go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, then your next one, you're like, we're going to win the second Super Bowl. Then they win their second Super Bowl, and you're like, holy shit, we're going to go for a 3. It is super hard, but then you're going to have to lose at some point, and people are going to be disappointed because your expectations, how high can you go? Let's see here. Argus says, there's less than 10% of a chance that a new Fable is going to meet expectations, and it's probably going to be a modern audience heavy too. You hate to see it. Even if let's say there's no modern audience in there, right, Argus? All right, let me put this up there so people can still see it, right? Even if it is, let's say there's no modern audience. Let's say the game is good, but it's missing some features that used to be in the older Fables, right? People will always be like, well, it's just not as good as the last Fables. Not against other games, against other Fables. You'd be like, right? This is the bar. The bar for Fables here. Right now, our expectations are here, okay? But they're probably going to be here. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if the game is flawless. It's got a track record ahead of it that it has to compete with. Let's see here. Cisco says it's is it possible for both teams to lose the Super Bowl? Asking for a friend. Yeah, I'm willing to vote for that. I honestly don't care about either team in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Argus says if there's no modern audience shit, I give it a 20% chance. Waterbear says I'm hoping for Fable to deliver. Looking forward to playing it. But here's the thing: deliver. Even if it delivers, would you be okay if it didn't hit the standards of the past Fables? Like something's not in there. Like the horn thing's not in there, right? Evil and Angel Halo is not in there. It's already kind of diminished, right? You're like, all right, well, choice matters, they say. Well, how much does it matter, right? They hyped it up. They gave a Todd Howard thing where there's 1,000 NPCs and they each interact with you. All right, if that's true, fantastic. If it's not true, and it's 1,000 NPCs and they do reenact, but they have the same 10 lines, expectations, wah wah. Argus says, with greatness comes heavy expectations and responsibility. Thank you, Uncle Ben. Aku says 30 with the new Fable is going to be fine. I've played previous games, unlike all the other schmucks out there. I'm going without expectations. I think you have to have a little expectations, right? I mean, okay, let's remove expectations from past Fables. You have no expectations of Playground Games that have never made a game like this before. You have no expectations whatsoever. Well, let's see. Jack says, you remember that the Xbox Bethesda chat where they showed all the studios and how many of them delivered games compared to the years they've been part of Xbox. Yeah, I do remember that. Krebsy says, how the fuck are people more worried about old stuff not being in the game and not glaring performance issues? I would think, Krebsy, that because it's I'm trying to find an analogy here. It's like an old pair of sweatpants, right? Like you put a pair of sweatpants on, but the sweatpants have like a giant hole right in the crotch. You know what I mean? Where like right? You're like, hey, you're like, yeah, but these are great sweatpants, right? They don't care. They don't care there's a giant hole in the crotch, right? They care that goddamn these sweatpants feel good. Right? There it is. Sarge says sweatpants, right? That's what it is. They liked Fable 1, 2, and 3, and they just want Fable 4, the next Fable, to feel like the sweatpants. 1, 2, and 3. Aku says it's going to be a video game from Fable universe. That's what I expect. All right. Argus says, I also love the treasure vault getting bigger as you also progress. Small details really do make a game, too. Cisco says, I have expectations from Playground. Definitely. Yeah. Eclipse says, Spider-Man 2 got 92 in that game. Had horrible performance issues. Yeah. Fable looks like it comes from the same flock of Avowed and Veilguard Easy Pass. Jack says, I think Bethesda do that they want and don't take the feedback they claim, or is it just much worse? I think they do take the feedback. And here's another thing. Even if they don't take the feedback, the mod community fixes the shit for them. Always has, always will, right? So like, let's say, for instance, like, hey, which they already fixed, right? We don't like the load screens. There's a mod that someone fixed that you don't have load screens. They got rid of the load screens fucking 2 years ago. I think it was like 3 weeks after the game came out, someone patched in no load screens. So Bethesda's like, well, we don't have to fix that right now because somebody already fixed it for us. So what else can we do? They're like, oh, well, let's move on over to fixing this. Like, modder, put bases randomly around the planet so they're not dead. Someone already fixed that. They're like, all right, well, what else can we do? Right? The community is building it faster than the actual developers. Travis says, I have expectations. It's that morons will be complaining no matter what, bitching about boo-hoo-hoo as the people don't like it and can't handle it. Yeah, but Travis, you do the same thing. You do the same thing. You complain about games and bitch about stuff that you don't play. Right? So stop throwing rocks at a glass house. Aku says, 30, I've done so much alpha and beta that they've also learned some to separate myself from what's being said. They should actually be a real journalist because I could tell the facts and not act like IGN. Well, that's a whole nother conversation, right? Journalists need to beat down the tightrope. Yeah, we watched it yesterday, Jesse. We watched it yesterday. Helldivers 2 has tanks now. They have tanks now? Eclipse, how much is it? Is it 25,000? It's got to be the top credits, right? Is it 25K? I believe it's this month. I think it's this month. I'm not sure of the actual date. I think it's the 17th. I think it's the 17th. It comes out on PlayStation 5. All right, let's go to the next topic, which is Obsidian. This is a long article. We might not read the whole thing. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We also have a TTS. The link's in the pinned comment up above. If you want to hear your comment read out loud, you can also use that. It's not mandatory. It's just there if you want to use it. Inside Xbox has a game studio, is trying to renovate itself. So Microsoft Obsidian Entertainment is searching for ways to make games more quickly and on a smaller budget. Hey, look at that, guys. Isn't that what I said years ago? When I was like, hey, maybe they don't want to hit the 90s because if making a 90 game costs way more money than making an 85 game. You know what I mean? Like if a 90 spends $400 million, but an 80 level game or 85 level game gets you into about the $150 to $200 million, it's a lot of money saving, isn't it? All right, what's going on, Ginger Prime? I'm just saying. They got to try to lower the costs, and they're trying to pump them out. Obsidian, man. Grounded 2, Outer Worlds 2, and Avowed. In 1 year. pump that out. Ginger Prime with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for that. All right, so let's go talk about, let's see. Here's a takeaway. Obsidian Entertainment head Ferguson meets with his management team weekly to discuss the studio's future, including recent games, and failed to meet sales forecasts and set by parent company Microsoft Corp. All right. So every week, Ferguson, the head of Obsidian Entertainment, meets for the breakfast with his management team at dinner near the office and scarf down cinnamon rolls to make the decision about the video game studio's future. They had a lot to discuss in the recent gatherings. Last year, the developer released 3 games, a rare and impressive achievement. Can we talk about that for a second? That is fucking crazy. That is absolutely crazy that one studio released 3 games. There's a handful of studios that have done this. Okay? A handful of studios have done this. It's just ridiculous. Okay? Obsidian's parent company, Microsoft Corp, they're also not disaster. Okay? He says, I'm not going to say that this was a kick in the teeth. It was more like, that sucks. What we're learning. Okay? The day after one of these breakfast gatherings is sitting with the Bloomberg Businessweek reporter and conference room at Obsidian office in Irvine, California. He's pleasant but humdrum, Orange County suburb. After more than 2 decades as chief executive officer of the studio, he's 55, speaks with a level of candor that's unusual amongst industry leaders. I would love to talk to people like this, right? I would love to talk to people that are in the industry that just want to talk candidly about it, right? I don't want to tiptoe around anything. I'm going to ask somebody, like, what the fuck were you guys thinking when you came out with this, right? That's what I want, right? And I want someone to be like, well, this is what we're thinking. Right. So the company is trying to navigate a shaky games market as well as turmoil also in the corner of Microsoft. Those Xbox game divisions has also been buckling under pressure from its ambitious profitability goals. Okay. Since it was acquired in 2018, Obsidian has been prolific, releasing half a dozen titles, including last year's Trio, a trippy fantasy role-playing game Avowed, a survival game of Grounded 2. Well, Grounded 2 is not released yet. Let's be honest here. Okay. And the dystopian sci-fi RPG Outer Worlds 2. Okay. Some of the studios within Microsoft haven't released a single game in that period. That's another mind-boggling thing, right? These guys have released 3 games. And what is... Let's look it up real fast, right? Let's look up Metacritic. All right, let's look at Metacritic real fast. Let's look up Outer Worlds 2. Outer Worlds 2 got an 83. Okay. Outer Worlds 2 got an 83. Across all platforms, you got an 83, 81, 79. Okay. Now, I don't know the budget. I don't know the budget of them. But 83, 81, 79. Let's just say 150 million. 150 to 200 million. Okay. So that's what they got. Which means that they don't need to sell 7 million copies. They can sell like 3 million, 4 million copies. Okay. Let's go to their other game, Grounded 2. Okay. Grounded 2 doesn't have anything because it's in early access. Okay. And let's go with Avowed. Right? Avowed got an 80. Okay. You got an 80, 80, 77, and it's not on PlayStation 5 yet. Right? So high 70s, low 80s. Technically, it's a 79, 78 and a half or whatever. Right? So that's where it is. Again, 150 million. Right? We don't know if it's definitely not a $300 million game. So now let's go back to the article, right? So it says some of the other studios within them haven't released a game in that period. While Grounded 2 was a bit big, the disappointment results from the other two have led Obsidian to think about a lot about how much we put into the games and how much we spend on them. How long does that take? Okay. Both Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 were in development for more than 6 years, inflating their production costs and companies' financial expectations, and the mission is to cut down development timelines to 3 or 4 years per title. So there you go, right? Games used to take 2 to 3 years. Now they take 4 to 6 years, okay? And they're spending way more money. So a game that cost, Arc Raiders came out and said they cost them $75 million, right? So if they can get that game down to $75 million, they made that game in how long? 4 years, right? They worked on Arc Raiders for about 4 years, going on to 5 before they released it. So if they did in 4 years and spent $75 million, all right, well, let's look at Arc Raiders. Right? Arc Raiders in 86. Okay. Arc Raiders in 86. 86, 85, 88. Okay. They spent $75 million. And they've blown past 20 million copies sold. Okay. They only needed to sell 2 million copies to be very profitable. Maybe 1.5 million to be very profitable for that budget. And now they have 20 million. Right? So that's the goal for companies, to try to get it out. So something with the games industry needs to change. Expenses are swelling, growth is stalling, and almost every game maker is facing questions about how they're to survive. Tens of thousands of workers have lost their jobs since 2023, including thousands of Xbox, which also has been closing studios and canceling projects at a rapid clip. In the 1990s, Ferguson also had a producer at the former publishing giant Interplay Entertainment Games, were so cheap to build that they also single hit could make up to half a dozen flops. Now, I talked about this with the movie industry, guys. In the movie industry, a studio can make 10 movies a year. 3 need to make money. 1 needs to be a blockbuster, and the other 7 can be complete flops, right? Those other 3 cover all the other ones. That's the way video games used to be. Not anymore, because the budgets are astronomically high. But since then, the average cost of a project has ballooned from 7 figures to 9. So missing a target can be fatal. Obsidian appears to be relatively firm ground for divisions of the Xbox sales, and also just one part of the equation. And RPGs tend to gain sales momentum over time. Obsidian Games gets respectable reviews from critics and sometimes wins rewards, helping to sell Xbox hardware, and they're also offered Xbox Game Pass, the company's Netflix-like subscription service. Obsidian developer games are also essential to be our vision of reaching more players than ever before. Mary McGunney, a general manager of Xbox Game Studios, wrote in an email statement adding that the developer demonstrates the creative excellence and range that continues to strengthen Xbox portfolio. Okay? And again, if they can keep that budget under, let's say, again, I'm just throwing numbers out there, if they can keep it under 150 mil and then put it on Game Pass, that's a profitable game for them. For us, the metrics, they're looking at it going, that didn't sell well, right? It didn't sell well. Besides that, Ferguson is also accustomed with operating under precarious circumstances. He founded Obsidian in 2003 with a handful of colleagues from Interplay, which also just had been delisted from the NASDAQ and was also on the verge of going bankrupt. Obsidian was also privately held for many years, juggling contracts from large publishers to develop games for Star Wars, Fallout, South Park, and other franchises. It found a devoted fan base for its compelling, complicated, though sometimes glitchy RPGs with deep storylines that also could change a bias or base off the player's decision. But the studio was when Microsoft canceled one of the biggest projects of fantasy multiplayer called Stormlands. Obsidian had to lay off staff and almost collapsed before turning into Kickstarter campaign to keep afloat. A few successes later, Ferguson also, his co-founders were also talks to sell the business and for the company that also almost killed it. During negotiations with Microsoft, Obsidian executives assembled a slideshow presentation for the concept that would also become Avowed, pitched an ambitious cross between mega hits of Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and Destiny that would also allow players to battle monsters together in a massive fantasy world. It was an impressive, if unlikely, proposition. He says, quote, "My thoughts when I first saw it was like, I don't think there's a team on the planet that could also execute on this," says Josh Sawyer, Obsidian's studio design director. 2 years later, Obsidian stripped out the multiplayer feature. I think that's a good move, by the way. I think that's a good move. I enjoyed Avowed. You guys watched me play Avowed. I had like 52, 60 hours in it, played it through the whole thing. Okay. Story's a little boring, but the gameplay was actually okay. Okay. But multiplayer feature in there, I think that would have killed the game. It would have been that, what's that game that happened? Dark Tide. Was it Dark Tide? Where it was the 4-player co-op game that like came and went super fast. Was it Dark Tide? Dark Alliance. It was Dark Alliance, I think it was. Right? I think it was Dark Alliance. That's what it would remind me of. By the time Avowed came out, it had been in the works for nearly 7 years. In 2019, just after the Xbox purchase, Obsidian released The Outer Worlds, a sci-fi game of creators Fallout, and attempted to capture the spirit of their old game's jagged satire. It was a surprise hit, selling 5 million copies, which is, again, they probably only needed to sell 2 million copies, and they sold double that. Went to work on the sequel, Hampered by the pandemic and technical challenges, the second game took longer than expected. I don't think anybody really likes 5, 6, or 7 dev cycles. Brandon Alder, director of Outer Worlds 2. We kind of growed into that. Ground 2 came together quickest, despite the popularity of the original, which the studio released during a pandemic gaming boom of 2020. Obsidian also hadn't planned to greenlight a sequel until it got a pitch in early 2023 from Eidos Interactive, and the studio in Montreal that was also looking to outsourcing work. Okay. That the 3 games were also already in 2025 was mostly coincidence. Releasing them in all in one calendar year made it for a slick marketing beat for the year of Obsidian, as Xbox called it, but it also taxed the studio's resources. The group has also around 280 employees, far fewer than peers such as Baldur's Gate 3 maker Larian Studios with more than 500, or Cyberpunk with up to 1,300. Jesus. Obsidian support teams were stretched thin. They're probably on vacation right now, right? They're probably just like, can we just take a break? Can we just take a break? Staff leaping frantically from one game to the next. Spacing those releases helps the company manage its resources, not burn out everybody out, Sawyer says. It's not good to release 3 games in the same year as a result of things going wrong. So Ground 2 offers some lessons for better way forward. Obsidian assigned a senior staff, orchestrated production in Montreal from 3,000 miles away rather than develop the whole thing in-house. Chris Parker, an Obsidian co-founder who also supervised development, says the distance was empowering because they also could make hard calls more swiftly. One of the game's vehicles, Reliable Instinct called Buggies, had originally been designed to share by multiple players until Parker and his crew realized the functionality wasn't coming together, leading them to pivot. He says, I was like, was one of the internal teams. It put on work of this other 2 or 3 months. Parker recalls that they made the call because they could also tell what to do. It feels like we were still running around with all the kids' gloves on internally. Quicker decisions could help Obsidian shorten development times, as also would be outsourcing, which also the company is already embracing. Another shortcut, according to the team, plans to more frequently reuse technology to projects instead to, say, building a new animation system for each game. So for 2010's Fallout New Vegas, Obsidian used the technology from its predecessor. Fallout 3 New Vegas ended up costing about $8 million to relatively a bargain, and took less than 2 years to make. Holy shit, that right there, they made a shit ton of money off that one. He also said a debate internally, do people really care if we spend an extra 100 person months of inventory screen? In recent years, it's been grooming 2 lieutenants, Justin Birch and Marcus Morgan, to take over the business, and then he retires. Last year, Birch, 33, and Morgan, 36, gave a talk of the DICE Summit in Las Vegas called Obsidian 100-Year Plan that detailed their philosophy, retaining as many staff members as possible, avoiding unchecked headcount growth, pursuing moderate success, and not chasing trends. I think that's a solid. This thing right here is pretty solid, right? If you're building a studio, avoid unchecked headcounts. Like don't hire people that you don't need, right? Pursue moderate success, and don't chase trends. Like don't go, hey, you know what? We should make a battle royale. We should make a battle royale extraction looter shooter. You know, rather than focusing on the entire studio on a single game, they'd like to juggle multiple projects at once. A skill that also eludes many other developers, but also Obsidian has mastered. I think from that standpoint, we've talked about in the past about how developers, they're artists. And artists don't like to work on one thing too long because they kind of lose their creative juices and whatnot, right? What I think is interesting about Obsidian Studios, if they go with this approach, imagine you're working on game 1, right? And you're kind of like burnt out, whatever, and then game 2, they're all in the studio together. They're all working on all the games together. They're all experienced. They all know what they're doing. It's almost like having a good sports team together, and they're gelling together really well, right? One's like, I'm burnt out here, so they go to game 2. And person that works on game 2 can go to game 3. And game 3 is like, you know what, I'm going to go to game 1. And they're all working on their bits and pieces, and they're all kind of helping along so they don't get burnt out. Interesting. Now, I know people look at it and go, well, if they don't work on a game, then how do we know they're passing along? Again, they're all in the same studio. They're not contract workers. They're all working together. So they can just pick up the phone and call them, or they can walk over to their cubicle and say, hey, what were you doing over here, right? Can help it out. Burnout, less burnout. They feel like they're being listened to. They're expanding the game. Their artistic is actually moving forward. It says you need to keep having at-bats because at some point, if you're constantly making good stuff, you'll get those breakout hits, Morgan says. Birch recently found a book office about what to do in retirement. He says, I didn't buy it. He laughed about it, okay? And some of that stuff is also involved dealing with also the corporate overlords for the past decade after struggling to put the games on par for the Sony Group Core and Nintendo Core. Microsoft went on spending spree, culminating a $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard in 2023, but the revenue growth flat. Console sales declining and Microsoft priorities shifting artificial intelligence. The company has put Xbox under a new financial scrutiny, intacting an ambitious 30% profit margin targets. For many of the studios, Bloomberg News has reported the pressure has also led Xbox team to publish many of its games on Sony's PlayStation, an unthinkable prospect just a few years ago to cut the cost of other. I mean, they're all going to do it. They all are doing it. Okay. For Obsidian, the targets also don't seem unfeasible. As long as they can continue experimenting, Pentium Studio 2022 Adventure game was cheap to make, critically acclaimed, and a niche, but still profitable. And that's it. As people looking and talking about video games all the time, everyone wants that 20 million hit to make money. And you need to make that if your game took 7 years to make and it was $400 million to cost. Okay? But if you're making a game and it's like the budget of Arc Raiders or a budget like Obsidian, Expedition 30, not Obsidian, Expedition 33, $10 million. Well, guess what? You don't need to sell 1 million copies. You don't need to sell 2 million copies. You don't need to sell 5 million copies. Okay? You can sell 500,000, right? 750,000 and be profitable if you keep the budget under control, right? Again, this comes down to management. If management doesn't know what they're doing, and let me tell you, there's plenty of managers out there that are managers that shouldn't be managers. Just like there's people out there that are parents that shouldn't be parents, okay? But it is what it is. And they don't know how to manage people. Budgets balloon. They take their time, right? And it gets out of control. And that's it. It gets out of hand. The Obsidian's targets don't seem unfeasible. I already read that part. Okay, it says Xbox continue to fund the riskier projects and values achievements besides strong sales, even if it means accepting that maybe where we're also going to be from a profitability standpoint isn't going to be 30%. During a recent breakfast meeting, he discussed some of the things that also could be done better in the last years. Perhaps Avowed players needed to be an option to say, commit crimes and get arrested to make the world feel more alive. Maybe the Outer Worlds 2 needed a stronger virtual companions. It's hard to imagine a game would sell more copies if it had pickpocketing, but Obsidian leaders say seamlessly minor ingredients can also make a big difference. We were just talking about this yesterday. We were playing Hightail, right? We were playing Hightail, and I said the trees, right? And Aku said this as well. Like there's this big stone column that he was breaking down. And then it hits the ground, and he starts digging out the ground, and it goes like super deep, right? It's something like so stupid. You're like, why would you even think about this? In Minecraft, the tree goes down to the ground, and that's it. It stops at the ground. There's no root system. The trees inside of Hightail have a root system. Most people don't give a shit, right? You wouldn't even care. But that small detail, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting that they did that, right? Right? Like little stuff like that. Division 1 and 2, right? Piles of garbage are piling up on the sides, right? You can't interact with it in any way, shape, or form. But when you look at the world building, right, and you walk up to it and there's just garbage everywhere and it sets the tone. It makes it more immersive in the actual world. And the little details do matter. Now, is that gonna make the game sell 10 million more copies? No, but it does make it more immersive, and it's more immersive than people talk about it. And if they talk about it, more sales happen. So Obsidian plans for the next few years. It also works on projects big and small, completely new games, added content for the Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2, and space out their releases. It isn't working on a third Outer Worlds game, but does plan to keep making games in the Avowed universe. Although the studio remains proud to be an accomplishment in 2025, it's be safe to say that his team hope to never repeat the year of Obsidian. Yeah, because they don't want to make 3 games. That's insanity. They don't want to make 3 games or release 3 games in 1 year. But they can work on a bunch of games. Hero says this is such a crappy timeline to live in. Who would have thought that 99% of the games would suck ass? I don't know if 99% of the games suck ass. I would say that 99% in your what you're saying, 99% of the games that when they come out are not complete, and then over time, so it does start compounding on you, going, oh, I bought a game. It's not done yet. and you have to wait 6 to 8 months, 12 months. And you're like, all right, I get another game come out. You're having fun. You're having fun with it. You have the next game you buy, not done, not complete. You got to wait 8, 12 months, right? And so on and so forth. You're being compounded on battle passes and live service games. So I don't know if there's a lot of good games out there. But at the same time, there's a lot of good games that weren't finished that takes time to finish. It's because they're taking 7, 8 years to make these games, and they put them out, and they're still broke. Let's see here. Krebsy says, I'm still waiting for Blade to be canned. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it is. It almost feels like a Wonder Woman situation. Almost feels like a Wonder Woman situation. Mo says Expedition struck it big with their budget. Oh, yeah. But guess what? They just knew what they were doing, and it paid off. They made a game and sold a game. Hero says, I feel like the game devs are entitled little bitches. All they do is cry. You don't like your job, find a new one. Where do you find in the article that I just read that them crying? Or are you just saying that in general? Travis says, if a person thinks 99% of the game's ass, what are they saying? I'm not a gamer. I'm just a whiny bitch. Jack says, Obsidian is a really good studio. I saw the documentary before they were also acquired after every game was released. They had layoffs, and now they can create games and they want to make RPG Kings. Right, because now their studio is afloat. Still in jeopardy. Before, they were by themselves. So if it didn't succeed, they didn't know where they were coming from. But now there's a big dad's got the allowance. They're like, all right, another month coming around. Here you go, Obsidian. Here's your check. They're like, oh, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the garbage out. Thanks for taking the trash. Thanks for doing the dishes. Right? They get the allowance. They're like, all right, we can still. They don't have to worry about the other stuff. Wirebear says, pissed off about Wonder Woman too. They were going to use the Nemesis system. Yeah. Well, that's the only thing I could think of is when Warner Brothers gets bought up, that they open it up the Nemesis system to everybody. It'd be a smart move whoever buys Warner Brothers studio, Warner Brothers Games studio. Krebsy says, Outer Worlds 2 should have been delayed in 2026. I think they probably would have done it, Krebsy, but Microsoft probably forced them. Again, I'm just speculation. They probably said we have a light 2025, and all their other companies needed more time. Because I think, again, just my thought, that Fable, okay? Fable was supposed to come out in 2025. But because of the backlash they got, and they added that character creator and whatnot, you can 100% tell it's put in afterwards. That game was supposed to come out in 2025, and I don't think Outer Worlds 2 was supposed to come out in 2025. But because Fable got pushed, they said, hey, can you guys get Outer Worlds 2 out? And they went, okay. Travis says, Wonder Woman is being canceled as such a blessing in disguise. It helped people realize, ignore WB. Well, they should have done that with Suicide Squad. Let's be honest. What's going on, Aaron? Yeah, I think people or studios like Obsidian, man, it's super hard to do what they did. And I don't think, I mean, let's think about it. I think Outer Worlds 2, even though people like it, okay, I think it should have came out this year, not last year, okay? Grounded 2 is not really out. That's an early access, and they're building it over time. But it's there. It's a you could pay, was it $20, $30 if you want to be in the early access, or you play Game Pass, right? Or what's it called? And then Avowed is Avowed. If Avowed came out later, it would have been the same, right? Again, the immersive thing, if they had more people walking around the towns and whatnot. But the gameplay and stuff and the exploration part was good. Story was right? It would have been the exact same. I don't think Avowed. I think it would have been a niche game regardless. When I say niche, it's the wrong word. I'm not looking for niche. It just wasn't a magnificent game. It was never going to be Skyrim. It was just going to be that smaller game. Aaron says 30 Avowed wasn't good. Let's be honest. No, it was good. Yeah, I'm saying exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, Avowed was actually good. Wasn't great. It was good. Roic says, really, all we needed to do is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was not have it live service. Many stories was good. Live service stuff was crap. Yeah, 100%. How was it good? I literally just told you what was good about it. You might want to rewind. Or you tuned it out like a child that doesn't listen to their parents. Ginger Prime says, in a world of great games and good games, limited time, I've become hypersensitive, selective. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Like I said in Twitter today, right? If the game's not done, equals bad. There's plenty of games I can play that are done. And I'm not talking about AAA games. I'm talking about indies, AA, right? There's so many games that are complete that you can go buy and play right now that you don't need to go buy the next brand new AAA game that's not done and you have to wait 12 to 18 months for it to get fixed. The only saving grace for a lot of the games that are on Xbox is because of Game Pass, right? Again, I know everyone likes to focus on the $30 stuff, but you don't have to pay $30 for Game Pass. You can pay 10 and 15 still. And there's so many games on Game Pass that you can play that were broken buggy when they came out. But if you don't have the day and date and you go play the older games, the games that they put on to Game Pass are complete. And you can go play them for a fraction of the price. Jason says, isn't Avowed coming to PlayStation? Yeah, it's coming to PlayStation the 7th. I think it's the 17th this month. $30 for Game Pass? What a fucking scam. It's not $30 unless you want day and date. You don't have to pay $30. Cisco says, Avowed was good. Didn't regret my time with it. By metrics, an 80 is considered good. Yeah, that's what I said. I said it's good. I didn't say it's great. I said it's good. All right, the next story I want to talk about is Epic Games. Epic Games Store admits that launcher sucks, says improvements are on the way. Well, that's all. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Epic Games Store finally admits that their shit sucks. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Epic Games Store executive admits that the launcher sucks and says improvements are on the way. Remember, no matter what Epic says, they're trying to hit Steam because they don't want to compete with Steam. They want Steam to come down to their level because they can't build up Epic Launcher to compete with Steam. Okay, the store will be faster to navigate in the summer, it's claimed. So the Epic Games Store launcher sucks and improvements are coming. An executive has conceded. Isn't it amazing that the games come out broke, buggy, and unfinished, and yet the launchers come out broke, buggy, and unfinished with missing features and whatnot? Okay. In an interview with Eurogamer, Epic Games Store Vice President and General Manager Stephen Ellis has asked about the player's experience navigating the store. Allison also replied to the company's focus on improving the store and its software launcher, pointing to its slower speeds as one of the main problems it's working on. Yeah, that's it. That's the main problem. The speed on which you can purchase games on. Amazing. It says, quote, we got a lot of stuff out the door last year. This year is going to be probably the best year for the stuff. Also, the big rocks, Allison explains. He says, quote, and the big rocks are the launcher sucks. Let's talk what it is. The really slow, it makes it calls for our back-end servers to refresh every time you click around. And depending on the connection, you'll have to wait a couple of seconds. Oh my God, a couple of seconds. We got to get the... How fast can I click a game? Okay. To not play. Okay. And I don't feel good, especially when people are comparing to contrast the dual using one that doesn't do that. Just say the name. Just say the name. It's okay. Just say Steam. Right? It doesn't feel good, especially when people are comparing it and contrasting and dual using one that doesn't do that. Steam. Allison says that working, improving, and starting late last year innovates, pulling the guts out, putting new guts in, and improved speed set to come around May or June. This launcher launched in 2017, 18? Did it not? It's like 7-8 years old. Right. It says, quote, it should start to feel good, be faster, and people should be like, holy shit. He actually says that. Holy shit, it doesn't suck so much. And that will be a win for us, he said. I mean, I appreciate the guy who's working on the actual thing to make a product that's actually good. But bro, what are we talking about? Okay. Earlier this week, Epic stated that it was in the process of rebuilding underlying an architecture of Epic Game Store launcher and would be shipping improvements this summer. Okay. To create a better social experience for players, we're creating a community space in Epic Game Store, and enhancing cross-platform text chat will feature avatars and player profiles and private messaging. It added. I wonder if feature avatars, playing profiles, and private messages will be some sort of fee. Maybe. Who knows? The social capabilities will also be extended to the Epic Online service, opening up text chat for other developers to include in their games later this year in Q2, and will add voice chat in-game independent parties to social framework. Why can't I just use Discord? You're asking me now to... People are already using Discord. Now you're asking me to not only choose your launcher, but you want me to use your chat and stuff, and that stuff's not going to be good. It's not going to be good when it comes out. You know why? Because they haven't put it in at this point, this far along into the cycle of the launcher. The only thing people use the Epic launcher for is to log in, grab your free game, and then log out. That's it. Nobody is using, right? The majority of people are not using the Epic launcher to play their games. You log in, you download the free game, and then you log out, and then you go play a game on Steam, and then that backlog just keeps adding up. That's it. That's all they do. That's all people use the Epic launcher for, right? They just constantly, they said it themselves. It's a loss leader. They put it there. They give free games. It gets people to get the Epic name out there, but they don't play the games there. The community's not there. They're never going to break into the Steam market, okay? Unless they try to change the rules and then they have to bring Steam down. That's it. Yeah, Altair says that's all I use it for. Yeah, just download the free game and move on. That's it. So, there you go. Epic Game Store. They admit their launcher sucks. They're like, what's the problem with the Epic launcher? Well, people were telling me that it takes 1.2 seconds to click on this thing before it responds. We need it to be 1 second. That's it, Ted. You figured out why people are not using the Epic Game Store launcher. Because it's 0.2 seconds slower than the competitor. Don't say the name. Nobody is allowed to say the name inside the office. Steam, you're fired. No, there's steam coming out of the pipe over there. It's so ridiculous. Like, how do we compete with Steam? What about if we lower our click rate? What about if we call our click rate? What do we do? All right. Then we have Michelle says that, wow, the Epic launcher. The Epic launcher reminds me of before I had my child. Was it that long? Getting WoW vibes from this. Oh no, WoW's not on the Epic. You're thinking of Blizzard.battle.net. I think that's what you're thinking of, Michelle. All right, so the next thing we're talking about here is everyone's favorite game, everyone's favorite new game. It's got, let's do a check real fast, right? Let's go see what the check is for Highguard. Highguard Steam charts. Let's see. Drum roll, please. And there you go. There it is. There's the player base. 4,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's a lot. And again, I've made this point. Maybe this is what they originally were supposed to, they thought they were getting, right? So let's say 4,000 converts into, across the all platforms, 60,000 consecutive, right? Maybe that's what they wanted. I don't know. Okay. But I do know that if you have a free-to-play game, okay, a free-to-play game, that, what do they have, 67? Let's do quick math here. Again, this doesn't mean this is what it is. I'm just going to give quick math, right? They're based in California, okay? They're based in California. There's 61 developers, right? 61 developers. Chat, what do you think someone in California on average? So if someone makes 200,000, another person makes 50,000, what do we think the average is? 70 grand? 80 grand? Right? 70, 80 grand? What do you think? That'd be pretty good. I'm going to put 80 grand. Let's times that by $80,000, right? $80,000. So that's $4.8 million for the year, right? At $80,000 in California, that's $4.8 million a year. Okay. Now we're going to times that. What are they, 5 years? Was it 4 or 5 years in development? I guess we'll read the article and it'll tell us, right? Is it 5 years? 4 years. Okay. Times 4. That's $19.5 million just for that. Okay. That's just developers. That's not including electricity or anything like that. So let's just round it up, right? Let's just round it up. Say over 4 years, let's just say an even 25 million. 25 million is what the cost of this is. Now, what's the average cost of a microtransaction in the game? Is it 10, 12, 15? What is it? Okay, 25 million total dollars, we'll say, is what it costs them to make the game for a live service, incomplete game. It's incomplete. They're still working. They have a full year of content ready to come out. Live in California, minimum 100K, bro. Well, we'll give them 80. We'll give them 80. Let's say about 18. Okay, so $18 on average for the microtransactions. So let's divide 25 million by 18. Okay, so 1.3 million. Okay, now let's times that by 30. So they need about 41,000 microtransactions, right? 41,000 microtransactions to cover the cost, basically, of running this game. Okay, just to run it, to say, hey, okay, this is a good player base. Okay, now are they going to make, let's say, 40,000 microtransaction off the 4,150 people? It's a lot of money, right? So if they got 4,000 people, they got to charge $18, right? That's $74,000 that they would make if everyone bought something, right? I doubt everyone's buying a microtransaction constantly every month. I doubt it. Right? Just Enough says, and the first battle pass is free. No reason to buy. Free-to-play games have to have a super amount of people to play it. Why do you think Marvel Rivals is doing very well? Because they keep putting out fucking smashing, looking cosmetics. Keep bringing in people. We've had this conversation, chat, about over a year ago, talking about Marvel Rivals. That they have to put as many heroes in as possible, throw in as many cosmetics as possible, because they have to keep that going. They got to keep that going. So let's real quick, let's go look at Marvel Rivals, right? Let's look at Marvel Rivals. Right? Marvel Rivals 63,000, 131,000, 24-hour peak. Okay, this is doing very well. This is doing very well compared to what we got going on here with Highguard. Okay, so 4,000, 6,000 peak. They need a lot more. Okay, they need a lot more. Let's read this now. One game idea per day. The true story behind Highguard's wild 4-year development. Okay. It says, a developer at Wildlight Entertainment, the studio behind Highguard, had worked under a big umbrella before. The studio founders created Titanfall and developer Apex Legends under publisher EA. But as big of a gaming company as it gets, but 4.5 years later, they were ready to set off on their own. It says, quote, we had a vision of building a studio, which Wildlight also could be home for a lot of talented people and we had to also work with. Wildlight co-founder CEO Dustin Welch told Polygon during an interview in a recent press event that Highguard Wildlight debut game. Wildlight started with a small team of 5 or 6 people and remained the size for some time before gradually ramping up over the years. It's now about 100 people, around 60 of whom previously worked on Apex Legends, Titanfall. And he says, we wanted to create an environment that was also special and unique. Welch said, and that's not have the burdens that also might get a big publisher and a big company. The team at Wildlight knew that what it wanted to stand for. It also wanted to be a type of game that it wanted to make. It says, quote, we started setting some of the very light guidelines for us, like creating a multiple competitive shooter was one of the things that we also wanted to tackle. Lean into the strengths, co-founder and studio head game director Chad Greener said. He said, leaning into the strengths resulted in Highguard, Wildlight's first project, a co-op multiplayer game that also looks and invented a subgenre of the first-person shooter. In it, players fight for control over an item that also allows them to break into the opposite team's base, opening another and blowing it up in certain objects to obtain victory. It's like a bit of like a MOBA, but through the lens of Apex Legends. That creative swing has proven to be polarizing so far. While Highguard gained some positive early buzz from pre-launch preview event, players also haven't been seen on high on it. Okay, now it's also wild that it's also currently sitting at a 67 on Metacritic, and there's also over 23,000 mixed reviews on Steam. It's not a runway success, but it's also found some players who also resonated with it amidst some wilder confusion over what it's doing. Getting the game out. So you're telling me that this is the resonates. This is your resonation, right? 6,000. So let's say it's half of this on. So you have like about 9,000, maybe 12,000 total. Console and PC, that's not very good for your free-to-play game that you need to make money because people need to buy microtransactions. Servers aren't expensive, or servers aren't cheap, is what I should say. Right? It says it's not a runway success, but it found some players that also resonate with it. Getting the game out as all was a bit of a victory for Wildlight, though. It's still not out, in my opinion. It's still broke. It's not finished. They literally added a 5v5 4 days after they said the 3v3. They could have just waited. They could have just waited one extra week, launched the game with 3v3 and 5v5. It would still be a bad game. It'd still be incomplete. But at least you wouldn't just show your cards and be like, yeah, we weren't ready. So years after development, following a period of where the studio had to figure out what it was also debut game was even going to look like. It says, quote, we explored so many different directions early on, even as much as the game design per day by every employee. Hold on a second. They said they didn't have a lot of people in the beginning. Let's just say you had 30 people. Every day, 30 people pitched a different game every day to figure out what you wanted to do. What everyone's Tuesday pitch, okay, well, let's come back on Wednesday. Everyone comes back with a new pitch. Wow. Okay, many of these ideas were tossed out. I would hope so. The ones that stuck around all proved in some guidance for Wildlight. What the team is really good at and doing is picking an initial direction and letting them take you where it wants to take you. Where we don't hold on to is a particular idea too preciously. Greener said that it's a little bit of a wild ride, but it's also resulted to also get something very design focused that the team is also really into. And it sort of solves all the other problems later. I mean, in YouTube space, they tell you to have the title and the thumbnail before you even make the content, right? And that's making a YouTube video. I can't imagine that you willy-nilly just make a video game and you're like, all the problems, we'll think of that later. Okay. What you're playing today was 3 years of wild exploration of year polishing what's out there right now. And it's not done yet. I don't care what any trash night wants to say. The game is incomplete, okay, and it's not a complete game. Although Wildlight batted around plenty of ideas, one thing was always certain. The studio was going to make a shooter, despite how crowded or genre the space is. Look, more props to you. I always say, make a game, sell a game. Whatever that game is, truly believe what you have and put it out there. But they even said it in their video. They knew that the genre was full of, like, it was very crowded. And this was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. Okay. It says, in this year, since Apex Legends launched in 2019, Call of Duty has remained the tentpole of the genre. Battlefield returned to the top of the food chain in Battlefield 6. Did it. Let's look at the top of the food chain, shall we? Let's look at the top of the food chain. Let's go to Battlefield 6, top of the food chain. Does this look like top of the food chain to you? Jesus. We're like 3 months after this game launched, and Battlefield's back to what it was, in the trash can. Okay, it says Battlefield returned to the top of the food chain with Battlefield 6. Arc Raiders and Helldivers 2 have recently exploded in popularity, and Marvel Rivals offered a hero shooter built around the most popular superheroes around. But Wildlight isn't worried about that in any of them. Let's put a pin in this, right? Let's put a pin in this. It is better than Highguard, Ginger. But for Battlefield, it costs somewhere around $550 to $600 million. I would hope Highguard didn't cost that much. Right? I don't think Highguard had 5 studios, now 4 studios, because they closed one of the studios down to make the game. Okay. He says, quote, I don't think there's a game out there that's like ours. Well, no, because Concord closed. Greener said, I think there's a game out there that also have elements that also see the game. But honestly, I feel like there's nothing out there. There's a similar experience. No, I'll give it that. It's very unique of the way you guys are doing it. But guess what? It's not going to last. Right? You can take a bunch of food and put it in a blender and drink it, but not all of it's good. Just saying. Well, it started a confidence in the shot down notion of the shooter fatigue amongst gamers. The metrics of the data shows that there's more playtime with more monetization happening. Shooters as a category continue to be rocket fuel that propels the game's space. Yeah, but this is what they're taking. They're looking at the overall picture of the entire shooter space, right? And let's say there's 10 games that are out there in the shooter space, and each game has a microtransaction store, a battle pass, a live service, a season pass, whatever, right? And they're like, yo, there's still so many people playing the game. They're not going for an audience. They're going for a niche community that pays for stuff. They're looking for whales to play their game. But the problem with that is very competitive, right? You're making a very competitive game. You're making a niche game for a competitive audience, and they may or may not spend money on it. It's different if you come out with the game and it's like $40 and you charge people $40 for your game, and then you make that initial, and you have your player base, because you know the people that are paying $40 are probably more likely to keep playing your game because they put $40 into it, right? So you made $40 off that person. Now you're asking for all these people to try your game out, and you've lost so many. I mean, again, 97,000 people tried your game, 6,000 people, 24-hour peak, just, a week? Right? 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? 1 week. It came out 1 week ago. 1 week ago. Right? 1 week and it came out like 8 days ago, 9 days ago. You've lost everybody. It feels like it's been out a fucking month. He says, creating something new in the shooter genre is a big swing as any. But exactly what the developers of Wildlight like to do. All right. If that's what you like to do, I don't want to see anybody complaining that there's haters out there and they don't like your game. Do you know what I mean? I'm mad respect. If you like the game that you made, make a game, sell a game, put it out there. But I don't want to see anyone from their studio that complains that, well, they just hated us. Sexist, racist, misogynistic, whatever they do. Just put the game out there. If people like it, they'll play it. If they don't, well, next tissue, right? Lead designer Mohammed noted how one of the biggest problems with having a success of Apex Legends is the kind of locked into the success of Apex, right? Well, I'll be honest with you. You kind of did that yourself. You marketed this game. They marketed this game based on their last game, which is not even their last game, right? It's not even their last game. It's where they worked before. They moved over and they said, from the developers that made Titanfall and Apex Legends, you excelled at expectations. You could have started brand new and said, Wildlight, new studio, brand new game, not your resume of what you did before, but what you're doing now. Maybe that's why they removed it off of Steam. All right, we're trying to hopefully be creative and innovative in the shooter space. That creativity doesn't just come without challenges, however. The hard part is trying to do it all from the scratch at the same time. Product and publishing VP and the game writer Jason Torfin said. So we're also starting out a new engine. We're also starting a new IP, and we have no tech. We're building a team from scratch. You mean a business? Get out of here. That's where it starts, right? We all started with one step forward, right? You try to do all that once, and you realize, oh, there's a reason why a lot of these companies are big. There's a lot of things to do. No shit. No shit. Everything's hard in life. Nothing's easy. If it was, we'd all be doing it. Why would you go do the hard thing when you could go do the easy thing? Amazing. Wildlight does not have an advantage over any other newly formed independent studio, and that good chunks of the team have worked together for years across the different games. But you tried. You try to get an upbeat on other people by telling your resume. We worked on Apex Legends. Apex Legends is a hit. Titanfall, not really a hit, but people loved it. It was a cult classic. People love that game, right? They're like, hey, if you like that game and you like this game, you're going to like our game. Sorry. It says you have to build in trust, and this is why we're working in communication that makes a lot of these changes surmountable, Torfin said. Yeah, you have to build trust, and the way you build trust is not releasing a game that's incomplete, broke, buggy, and unfinished. You release a product. You make a game, sell a game. Now, you're not charging for your game. You're asking people to put their time into your game, which is worse than money. Time is well more valuable than money, okay? Those of you who don't agree with me, when you get older, you'll understand, okay? As an independent studio, Wildlight isn't a beholder of the shareholder values of meeting certain profit benchmarks. They're fortunate to be independent, Welch said. So we have the opportunity to meet our goals, which to have to Highguard is an extension of Wildlight. We believe by that as many people in the world as they can also build highly respected studio. I hope so. I just hope they learn their lesson that they could move on without making a broke, buggy game. Like, complete your game. I think the biggest mistake they did was tell us they had a year roadmap. Because at that point, you're not even selling the game. You're selling what the game will be, not what your game is. Reaching as many players as possible is a large factor in making a Highguard a free-to-play. There's no barrier to entry. Player of our game has also appreciation for it, hopefully. And let us know all things experience, Green said. This is what I love about making games. Other shooters have attained success in mid-tier prices, like Helldivers 2 and Arc Raiders, both of which retail for $39.99. And of course, Call of Duty still ranks in the bestseller of $69.99. Did they also at least look at charging for Highguard? He says, because we've got some examples over the past 4 years of people doing different business models. Sure. But it just didn't fit in with very where we wanted to go as a company. Our long-term goals, Welch said. Hey, I respect that, right? You want to make a free-to-play game, but it's got its own worries. Okay, it says to Wildlight, creating a game that people love to become becomes a part of them. It's what most important, according to Greener. It says whether or not it's thousands of people or hundreds of millions of people or a few thousand people, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the game is loved by the people who played it. Well, there you go. There you go. So all the people coming out and trash nighting for a broke game, incomplete game, there you go. They're happy. They are happy with the 4,081 on Steam. Maybe 3 times this. Maybe 12 to 16,000 people are playing the game. And if that's what they need to be successful, then it'll be around. But if it's not, this game will go bye real fast. 6 months, 8 months, it'll be gone. And either they'll pull it down or they're going to have to let people go. Because servers have to run. They have to have people come and play. And if no one's spending money because the game is free, guess what? You're either putting advertisements in there, or you're getting a subscription model of battle passes, season passes, microtransactions. And if that number, if 1% of the population is buying microtransaction, that's done. If 10% of the people are buying microtransaction, it's done. There's not enough people, right? This is not me talking shit. There's not enough people playing their free-to-play game to justify keeping the servers up, which is just going to get worse and worse if they don't fix the game and make it complete, which they should have done in the first place. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some other videos. Thanks for watching. Travis says, 30 day, I posted a trailer for overview of Toxic Commandos. I'll share it in Discord, but it looks like it's Back for Blood without the cards. All right, we'll check that out because I think we're done with the main stories now. Mr. Z says, Wildlight did exactly what the trailer said. Assemble your team. Build your base. Oh, no, I hope it doesn't get destroyed. Sarge says, Titanfall was a good game. They treated it like a stepchild. They didn't nurture it. They threw it in between the monsters and wanted to collect scraps instead of gathering an audience. Yeah, but at least they charged for it, Sarge, and it was a good game. Crowded says, yeah, I don't dislike the game, but the player count is just too low. Here's the thing. If Highguard came out with a PvE, PvP, where you had like story and the characters and you cared about the world and there was like a single player aspect to it, then I think people would play it. Then they would also play sort of like what Destiny did in the beginning, right, Crowded? Where they had the Crucible and you could play the Crucible or you could play the storyline. Now, I'm not asking for a live service game. They could have just made a story. Man, it would have almost been like Battleborn. Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to suffer the same consequences as Battleborn, right? You could make a storyline and it still won't survive. Justin Up says, how can you say there aren't enough to justify a server up if the devs say that they're happy with the numbers? They didn't say they're happy with the numbers. What I'm saying is if they are happy with the numbers, in the article at the very bottom, they're saying whether it gets thousands of people, right? Thousands of people or hundreds of millions of people, it doesn't matter. Well, anyone can say that. Anyone can say that just enough, right? I can be like, yeah, I don't really need money, but at the end of the day, you've got to pay your bills. And if you can't pay your bills, you have to do something. You have to get investments. You have to get a person outside to give you money to keep you afloat, or you have to get it from the customers, from your free-to-play game. Did they have so much money in the back? Someone's backing them? Someone that owns the studio has so much money and he's putting his own money up? He's got his house up for sale? Like, a mortgage on the house? Like, they have to keep the servers up. If it's 6 people per server, okay, and they have these servers running for 6 people, and now you charge that by, they say, 10,000 servers, that's a lot of money. They have to at least pay for the server space for the month. 1% of the players who buy microtransactions. Yeah, people are still playing the multiplayer of Titanfall 2 on Steam. Mr. Z says, that's an interesting wrinkle. If they wanted to charge for the game, 110% would have needed more at launch. Crowd says, I couldn't get a match for a 5v5 when it was up. Had to go 3v3. Oof. That's not good. That's not good. Tarnish Gamer says, games don't run on hopes and dreams. Be nice if they did. Right. Like, they can say all they want, but if there's only 4,000 people playing their game, and 1,000 people are paying for a microtransaction, okay, they can survive for how long? They didn't charge for the game. Alter says, I wasn't happy with the 79. I bet they was happy with the 79K. Yeah, they're like, oh boy. Now, if 1% of that bought microtransactions every month, cool. But they don't have 100,000 people. They have 6. They have 6,000 people. Justin Love says, oh, okay, I misheard. I thought you said that they were happy with the number. If I couldn't pay my bills, I'm not happy with the pay. Yeah, exactly right. You're like, oh yeah, no, I can work this job for free. Or just work on tips. Okay. Good luck to you. They can stay afloat if they had really good management, right? Upper management, and they have a good person that can run the books. And they're like, okay, guys, this is the money we have, right? Let's say it cost them $25 million for the game. Okay. $25 million. They have a budget. And they're like, okay, once we launch, we have a year's plan worth of content that's already made. Okay. We're working on year 2 of stuff. If we get a big player base come in and they start paying for microtransactions and stuff, it pays for that money back. So our nest egg grows a little bit so we don't have to. But if nobody's playing, month 1 goes by, they make microtransaction sales, but not enough to cover the stuff. It doesn't cover the server costs. Well, then month 1 goes by. Okay. Then month 2 comes and they didn't make it. And then that goes by. And then the nest egg just keeps getting smaller and smaller. 6 months comes around. They're like, we got to make a choice. Right? We either do a 2.0 moment, we either throw the rest of the stuff that we have out in the pipeline out early to try to get people to come back and buzz, or we close the studio, or we get rid of people because we can't pay the salaries of the people that we have. So we have 100 people, now we got to get rid of 10% of the studio, 20% of the studio, right? And remember, it's not our fault if we don't buy the game or buy microtransactions. Their whole business plan was we wanted to make a game that was in a crowded space for free, and we're going to charge microtransactions for people that nobody knows about the world lore or anything like that, or the characters. I mean, it's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them. Console players, though, I have crossplay off on Xbox, and it seems to get instant games. Here's the thing. On console, they've said that Highguard, unless you're playing with someone on PC, it doesn't crossplay. It won't crossplay with people on console unless there's someone, like if I have a friend that's on PC, we're playing together, we're going in PC and console. But if you're on console, you're only going into console. Doesn't matter if crossplay is on or not. You're only going in console. Tara says, I have a feeling there's going to be a mention of a game that's at the next Game of the Year awards. Yeah. Joseph says, I haven't had an issue finding matches for either mode. Usually less than 30 seconds, but I keep crossplay on. Crossplay doesn't work. It only works with console. So crossplay for you, if you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation, you're cross-playing with other console players on PlayStation or Xbox. It's not going to PC. The only way the crossplay works, they've come out and said this, the only way it crosses over is if you have a friend that's on PC that you're playing together, then it automatically matches and you're playing against other console players. I mean, I'm sorry, other PC players. Altern says they also look at earnings and they will see the expense. If those expenses are bigger than the earnings, then the roadmap will be completely sooner than expected. 100%. 100%. This is me not going, oh, I'm Nostradamus. This is business 101. They had their thing in the pipeline. My thing is they said it out loud and they shouldn't have. They should have just sold the game as is, sold you on what it is. And what it is, it's not a game, right? So what they did was they sold you on what they're releasing now, and they have a year's worth. What that tells the customers is we're here for the long road, okay? We're here for the long road, and we have a whole bunch of stuff that's coming into the game. So invest in us. Invest your time with us because we're going to have a game and we're supporting it over the year. Well, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. It works if you have the player base, right? And they can slowly keep bringing stuff in and you're like, oh, this is so good. Okay. But if you don't, see, Arc Raiders did it. It's a good game. It's a great game. Okay. But they also charged $40, right? So they got 20 million people to pay $40. And then even if their content's slow coming out, it doesn't matter, right? They told you what the roadmap was after they sold 10 million units, right? These guys told you the roadmap before they even sold one microtransaction. Jesse says, if Highguard fails before the Game Awards 2026, will Jeff make a public apology? And it would be pretty hilarious if he did that. I don't think he will, and I don't think he has to. He doesn't owe us an apology. If anybody, he owes them an apology, and he might have already done that. Maybe he'll take his power and wield it differently next time. Crowded says, my experience was the game is fun when people know what they're doing. If one guy is lost, it's a nightmare. Yeah, 3v3 is hard like that, and it's going to take time. Do they have that time? I don't know. Tara says, Jesse Mack, I just have a feeling he will ignore it. Jeff will move on to the next thing and pays for the ad slot, 100%. Just enough said I had a 5v5 where the last guy didn't know what he was doing. He let the enemy in before the sword split the dome, and he was able to plant when we were all dead. I mean, that's when we played Battlefield. Like when we go back and play Battlefield 1, we're playing multiplayer, right? You hear Sarge all the time going, how do you not know how to play the objective? The game's only been out for a decade. How do you not know? It doesn't matter if the game's been out for 10 seconds or if the game's been out for 10 years. There's always going to be people that don't know how to play the fucking objective. Feels Good says, game is pretty bare bones, but there's also not much else playing in January and February. Right. Soon as something comes out that people want to play, this number right here is gone. Soon as there's something that comes out that people like, this craters into the hundreds of people. That's what it's going to be. Mo says Jeff owes an apology. He doesn't owe us an apology. As much as I talk shit, he doesn't owe us an apology. He owes the developers an apology, in my opinion. Crowded says he's frantically searching for FromSoft. He said, Kojima, you have anything? FromSoft, you guys have anything? He's looking anywhere to get some stuff. What is he supposed to apologize for? Liking a game? Yeah, he doesn't owe us an apology. I think he owes them an apology for giving them the showcase. They wanted to do a shadow drop. He was like, no, I like this game. I want to promote it. Okay. And I think if they shadow dropped, I don't think they would have had the 97,000 all-time peak. Okay. I think they would have had the exact same player base that they have now. They would have less scrutiny. We wouldn't have known about all this. We wouldn't have talked about it for 6 weeks ahead of time going, what's happening with this game? It would have been a completely different thing, right? Like, if we had a time machine to go back, I think the Highguard would start off at like what it is right now. It would have like 10,000 peak, 12,000 peak, and that would have been it on Steam. And then people would have given it a better feel. But because of what they did with the Game Awards, and because the Game Awards is so high profile, it's more people watch that than the Super Bowl. Okay? I think he owes them an apology. Because if they just did what they were supposed to do, I think it would have been fine. Let's see here. Tarner says, crazy knowing that they could have been as small as obscure indie these days on PC that could have effectively killed Highguard on Steam overnight. Kojima is not happy with Team Death Stranding 2 not going nothing at the Game Awards. Feels Good says Wildlight should have picked up a different time slot to show off the game. Everyone expected a AAA title, Half-Life 3. That's also another conversation. If they started off, maybe the show, or maybe just in the middle, it would have hit differently. The last spot's a big spot. It's the one more thing. Sarge says, so the news cycle will keep Highguard alive because the gamers will be focused on Marathon and Resident Evil 9. Krebsy says, nah. He used a Jurassic Park meme and the 48-hour one. Yeah, no, I get it. That's just him being a dick. But you guys know where I stand with that. Again, I don't think he owes us an apology. If the game cost $40 and everyone bought it because he said it was good and we had to pay $40 for it, then yes, he would have owed an apology. Aku says, we expect apologies for him expecting an apology. All right, let me see. How long is that video, Travis? How long is that video? All right, 3 minutes? Okay. So is this official gameplay overview trailer? Okay. We'll watch this. Yeah, can you imagine if the game was $40? Oh my God. it would be gone. That would have been epic, bro. They would have torched him. Oh yeah, if it cost, then 100%. 3 minutes? All right. Yeah. All right, let's watch this. This is Toxic Commando, the official gameplay overview trailer.
Welcome to John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, the newest co-op zombie shooter launching March 12, 2026. Today, you'll be getting the rundown.
I have a question. Question before we even watch the rest of this. Okay. Question for you, Travis. Question for everybody. Would you rather play this or Space Marines 2? Space Marines 2 has been out for 14 months, 16 months. Would you rather play Space Marines 2 or would you rather play Toxic Commando? No, that's not the question. You can't say both. Okay? You only have time to play one game. What game are you playing? The game that's 16 months old that has content and you know what it is? Or do you play Toxic Commando? They're both co-op shooters that you're playing and murdering hordes of people. I have a feeling people would pick Space Marines 2 more than Toxic Commando. You guys are saying Toxic Commando is GTA 6, Hightail.
On missions, progressions, and a whole lot more about the game. Strap in. It's time to fucking go commando.
Ooh, using curse language. I'm in.
Toxic Commando is a 4-player co-op action survival game where the world's going to hell and mutants are everywhere.
Oh man, I'm in trouble.
Get your crew together and play as Walter, Kato, Ruby, and Astrid. A bunch of criminals hired to clean up this mess and maybe save humanity while they're at it. You'll blast through multiple missions, each in a semi-open world.
Right, Sarge? Dropping F-bombs. For the cool factor, let's fucking go.
Packed with zombie heads to blow off.
Super coming.
Get ready to face hordes of those sludge bastards.
Fuck off over there.
Saber Interactive Swarm technology throws hundreds upon hundreds of real...
That looks fucking crazy. When I played Space Marines 2 over the weekend with Sarge and we saw the hordes coming at us, I was like, that's impressive. I mean, obviously it's not the first game to do it. It still looks cool.
Enemies at you simultaneously. We're talking endless waves of zombies running straight at your face. Adapt fast.
Now, this is created by Saber Interactive, is it not? This is created by Saber Interactive, correct? It looks crazy. We're probably gonna kill your PC too. Look at those mobs. Yeah, let me rewind a second. Look at how many mobs are here. Yeah, it is. Let me tell you something. Okay, I'm a big fan of Saber Interactive, man. I love their SnowRunner games. Right, the little I've played of Space Marines 2, that company, man, they're making some bangers. Okay, now I'm not saying this game's gonna be a banger or not gonna be a banger, but I like what they're doing.
Active swarm technology throws hundreds upon hundreds of real enemies at you simultaneously. We're talking endless waves of zombies running straight at your face. Adapt fast, work with your team, or just grab a machete and charge into the horde like the maniac you are.
Here's the thing. I think this game, excuse me as I crack my voice again. Here's the thing about the game. I think this game is going to be fun. But this is not don't get me wrong, There's going to be people out there that are going to put hundreds of hours into a game like this. I think the average person that gets this game, this is a $40 game, by the way, right? It's not a full price game. It's a $40 game or $50 game. Either way, it's not a full price game, right? I don't think it's $70, at least for the standard edition, right? What's going on, Kraken? This is a game that you play like we play with Sarge, right? The game, like on a Wednesday, you play it for 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours over a course of time. It's fun, okay? Obviously, there's going to be people that play it, but I think it's going to get repetitive really fast. Now, yeah, $40, okay, right? Now, obviously, it's going to be a live service game, right? I'm sure they're going to be adding more stuff to it because it's Saber Interactive. They do it with Snow Runners and Mud Runners and Expedition 33 and Space Marines 2. That's their MO now, okay?
Work with your team or just grab a machete and charge into the horde like the maniac you are. In Toxic Commando, every mission starts with a badass vehicle.
It looks like they've taken what they've done with Snow Runners and put it into this game.
And you'll need it to navigate these infected hellscapes. Each has its perks. Stuck in blood and guts-filled mud with more zombies closing in? Jack a ride with a...
Yeah, 100%. 100% they put that mechanic inside this game from Mud Runners, Snow Runners.
Winch to pull yourselves free.
Yeah, there it is. There's the winch.
And crack open locked containers loaded with ammo.
I mean, if you're selling me on a game that's like Snow Runners, but not with zombies, my interest peaked a little bit.
Weapons, spare parts, and fuel. Teams bleeding out. An ambulance is your...
This is not an open world game, though, right? This is like mission-based type of stuff.
Savior and heals everyone. Check your map for available rides and switch whenever you find something.
Is it open world? Does that mean it's open world?
Heals everyone. Check your map for available rides and switch.
Semi-open mission-based. Is that an actual map that you're driving around, or is this a map that you pick and then it sucks you into that point? Open zone, not open world. Okay.
Switch whenever you find something better. We've got all the toys you'll need to blast these monsters back to hell. Pick your primary from 16 weapon types. Shotguns, SMGs, sniper rifles, you name it.
Reloading.
Secondary weapons like pistols back you up when you're running dry. When you're looking for brutal, bloody takedowns, melee weapons are your friends. Machetes, crowbars, all kinds of good shit.
Now this is action!
The really devastating gear like heavy machine guns and grenade launchers are hidden in missions. Explore and exchange spare parts to unlock them.
Finders takers.
That's what we need.
Choose a kick-ass ability for even more blood and explosion.
Let me see what that is. Weapon reload speed increased by 20%. So instead of cards, you have a skill tree. Okay.
Dominate in your own style by choosing among 4 unique classes. Strike for aggressive mayhem. Medic to keep everyone breathing. Operator for drone warfare and tech.
Getting my drone loose.
Or defender to be an unstoppable wall.
Fence is activated.
Stack your squad however you...
It's a little OP, isn't it? It's a little OP. Fucking making a shield and just burning right through it. Hope that works better than Helldivers. Helldivers, you put a shield up, it gets knocked down in like 3.2 seconds.
...one. Run 4 strikes if that's your vibe. This game is built from the ground up for 4-player chaos. Use matchmaking or grab your friends in a private lobby.
I don't know if they say this. I'm asking you guys. I know it's co-op, but if you only play with 2 people, is the NPCs the other 2? Or are you only 2 people on the map?
With crossplay, anyone can join from any platform. One last piece of advice, if you want to play Lone Wolf, you'll get swarmed fast. So rally your team, gear the hell up, and get ready for non-stop co-op zombie destruction. Mark your calendars. March 12, 2026 is Commando time.
All right, well, I just started playing Space Marines 2, which we're going to be playing tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming. So down the road, I'll play Toxic Commando. It looks fun, but we'll see what happens when it comes out, what the reviews are, what people say about it, and if it gets repetitive. Yeah, Focus Entertainment and Saber Interactive, man, they make some good stuff. They make some good stuff. Fun stuff, I should say. Space Marines is dope. Sounds a little bit like Deadpool. What's got a demo? Eclipse? I mean, I might get it. It has a demo on Steam. It's got a demo on Steam right now for Toxic Commando. I'll try that. The 19th. Oh, it says it. I just put it back up. Demo on Steam, February 19th to March 2nd. So we have to wait till the 19th. So maybe what we'll do, what day is the 19th? What day is the 19th? It's a Thursday. Oh. Well, maybe me and Sarge will try that on PC. Just the demo. See what it feels like. And maybe I'll record it. Maybe that's what I'll do. Because it's Thursday, so we'll do the podcast. And then after the podcast, me and Sarge will play it. I'll record it and then upload that and give you my thoughts on the demo. All right, what time is it? 12:06. Let's check out some Twitter news and see what's going on Twitter here. What we got going on? Borderlands 4 is on the Steam Deck, verified now. Haven't heard shit about Borderlands 4. Haven't heard Randy say a goddamn thing. It's actually been quite nice, actually. Travis says, just going to ask by a friend if I'm going to church tonight. I was like, yes, Church of God Emperor. Is this a longer thing? Launches March 12th. Story and feel the new co-op campaign. Right now, 85% off of the Ghostbusters game, Spirits Unleashed, which is a fun game. It's a fun co-op game. I wish it had a single player. Altern says, Borderlands 4, I already have my ice cream money, but I spent it on Crimson Desert, Randy. Will be so disappointed. Yeah, you're going to have to do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Oh, I didn't see what you said earlier, Eclipse, and you answered it, but it probably flew by. I didn't see it. How much is the tank cost in Helldivers 2? What's the purchase price of that? Travis says, I'm kind of worried about the Crimson Desert story being very bare bones. I'll be honest. I mean, for me, I know your story over everything else. If it's an open world game, you didn't like Elden Ring, right? So I think that's going to be sort of, I don't want to say it's like Elden Ring, but the story-esque of Elden Ring is like open world, go around, do what you kind of do. That's what I feel like Crimson Desert is going to be, but I think there's going to be more of a story there, sort of like The Witcher, but it might be bare bone. Roic says, I don't know if it's still on sale, but I got a complete Outriders game for $15 on Steam. Outriders is a great game. Very fun. It was the repetitiveness. Speaking of Outriders, the end section, like the end game of Outriders, I feel like that's what Toxic Commandos is going to be. Where you're just going to keep doing the same maps over and over and over type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like a horde mode, but just more open world type of stuff. Oh, you know what? There was a video. What was it? Mug thief. No? Let me go home. Mug thief had a video earlier. Yeah, the truth behind. There was a
probably
part,
the one.
There was a part in the game, and I want to say, I want to watch this for a second. I watched this earlier. Okay. There was a part that he talked about. I think it was here. What's up with the hat? No. Making a sequel, 100+ person. It's around this part. We're going to watch this a little bit. Okay, this is Mug Thief. I'll put his channel in the description down below. He interviewed the guy, the head guy of Splitgate. Okay, of course it's a pretty good interview. It's pretty laid back and whatnot. But he says something around the 30 mark, right? Talking about what we do differently. I think this is where it is. Do people come back? Do people come back? Is this it? Let me see.
You put out an update, get a tiny little bump there. You put out another update, get a tiny little bump there. Like, we're not anticipating this going from 1,000 to 10,000 overnight, right? But the point is, as long as we stay at this stable enough number that it is a fun experience,
okay,
you're going to have to deal with
I'm gonna
long
speed
queue
this up.
times and poorly balanced games and high ping and like all of those trade-offs. You could have, like I said, game could be amazing, but if it's not going to be amazing if you're playing on 150 ping after 10 minutes of waiting to go get destroyed, right?
Wait, give me a good soundbite.
That's all I got.
Hey, come on, you got to give me something along the lines of people think player count doesn't matter, and then just contradict your Twitter.
I think it matters at some point, right?
What's going on, Bat?
I think as long as you're getting decent games, it's really, are you having fun or not? All right, but obviously, to take an extreme example, if you had 5 players and it's an 8-player game, it doesn't work, right?
I was thinking about this the other day because, like, Deadlock right now, we talked a little bit about it. It's the typical Dota cycle as well, where it's been like 6 months since there's been a patch for a game that isn't out.
You hear what he says about players, right? He just said if it's an 8-player game and you only have 3 people, you can't play. The game's officially dead by that time, right?
But, you know, whatever. The player base that is there has been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and we've gone from, like, summer, we were at, like, 90,000 peak concurrents. And it's all concentrated on one platform, so easy to track. Now we're at, like, 10,000. And I was just thinking, yeah, but I can always get into a match, so I don't give a shit. I don't care. As long, like, I always get into a match and get to play the game I love. There is basically a breaking point, right? A break-even point for matchmaking to function.
Yeah.
Do you think Splitgate is there at the moment?
You mean Splitgate Arena
Reloaded?
No, I think, yeah. I mean, play it for yourself, right? Like you said the other day, you played, like, you're still getting games within a minute or two.
Yeah.
They're still reasonably balanced. They're still on.
You do get to play the same lobby.
That's great. You have players. Are your players spending money? There's no difference in what's happening with Splitgate 2 right now and what's happening with Highguard. Both free-to-play games. One's an arena shooter. One's a bigger arena shooter in a different way, right? More like a MOBA. But they're both competing for the same people. Your time, your money. Because if you like the game, you might spend a microtransaction.
5 times in a row, but I didn't mind that. But it does feel like it's on the verge, right? I feel like it is a game that at the moment, depending on what time of the day you log on, it might be iffy. And that pains me.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, that is reality, and we are living on the edge in terms of at what point. I mean, it's not exactly binary, right? Like,
no, because there's some people who will never experience the problem is the thing, right? The subjectivity of it. Whenever I say, like, I remember when Concord was out, and I used to look at the player numbers. I think I was the first person on YouTube or, like, in general to say, like, Sony needs to remove this game from sale because it's been out for 3 days and it has a peak concurrency of 200 players. Every match is 10 people. There's 20. Even if we say same amount on Steam as on PlayStation, you're telling me there's 40 matches of Concord happening, max in the
right. He's talking about Concord. Just replace that with the whatever game we're talking about.
World.
Yeah.
We can't.
No, totally. I mean, I think the good news about where we're at is, like, we have stabilized, and we've stabilized.
He's stabilized. I want to see what stabilization looks like. they've stabilized. Let's just say the exact thing that Mug Thief just said. He was talking about Concord, okay? He said there's only 40 matches. How many people in Splitgate can play? Is it 3v3? So 6 people? Is it 4v4? Like, what is it? I don't even know. Okay? Let's just triple this number. Triple this number. Hell, let's just give it 400 more. Make it 1,000 players, because it's 963 in the last 24 hours. 1,000 players, and now times it by 3 because of console. Okay? So 3,000 people. You have 1,000 servers up. 1% of the people that play in the game, of 3,000 people, are buying a microtransaction to keep this game afloat. How long can you go before this game dies? Right? How long?
Of course, I'd like it to be higher, right? The higher, the better. But we've stabilized at a sustainable number in terms of, like, it is playable. You're getting reasonable queue times. You're getting reasonably balanced game.
Yeah, great. Reasonably balanced. It's playable that you're getting people. But how much money are you making to keep alive?
Games, you're getting, the appropriate server.
And the people are coming
so the
back.
game is working.
The numbers aren't going down at the moment.
No, that's my point. Is it's kind of stabilized at about 1,000 on Steam. Consoles are a little bit bigger. Steam is our smallest platform, but like it's not orders of magnitude.
Yeah, but you're combining all consoles together. You're combining all consoles compared to Steam.
Magnitude different, right? And we've got a lot in the tank, right? So like with where we're at, we're kind of like, okay, we'd like it to be bigger, but the bleeding has stopped. That's the most important thing.
Great. Let's just say you keep your 1,000 people and it's the smaller audience. Great. Console, I'll give you 5,000 people. 5,000 people are playing your game across all platforms. 1% is buying your microtransactions to keep your game afloat. How are you going to do it? How many months are you keeping alive? I'll say it again.
Now we've got big updates. We've got Arena Royale, got some new events, new map.
Because your game wasn't finished when it came out.
It's new content.
If it was, you wouldn't have went back into beta.
Got a new season. So the hope is you stabilize here, you put out an update, get a tiny little bump there. You put out another update, get a tiny little bump there. Like, we're not anticipating this going from 1,000 to 10,000 overnight, right? But the point is, as long as we stay at this stable enough number that it is a fun experience,
you're confident that the game will speak for itself and people will come back, basically.
Yeah, but how do you make money? If the game speaks for itself and it's a free-to-play game, how do you make money?
Yeah. And I can see it in the metrics too, right? Like, I mean, even with any free-to-play game, like this is what a lot of, retention, right? You're still going to lose players. Like
that's any game. Single player, multiplayer, live service, MMO, doesn't matter. You're always going to lose players.
50% retention is considered great, meaning anyone who plays on a Monday.
No business runs at 100%. They run at like 25 to 30%.
Only 60% of them are coming back Tuesday. That's actually like
that's
really
great. Yeah, that's
number.
incredible. Yeah, and when it comes to specific retention rates, a lot of people don't notice how important retention, like how much more important retention can be for a game. People are talking a lot about like Arc Raiders, right? Doing fantastic numbers,
which is insane, by the way.
Arc Raiders. Let's put this in perspective. Arc Raiders doesn't have to make one more penny as of right now because they sold 20 million copies at $40 minimum. Okay, they don't have to sell another microtransaction. They don't have to sell anything else. Obviously, they are because people are enjoying it. But if Arc Raiders didn't sell anything, right, for the rest of the time, they would be good for years to come because of the money they charge, $40 for make a game, sell a game, and they're still supporting it. Okay, they don't need people to come in and buy the microtransactions because they made all their money up front.
Yeah, absolutely crushing it. And as a note, what you're describing of like update after update,
I mean, it's a great game.
It's fucking fantastic, but a lot of it is the gameplay in Arc Raiders is fine. It's just very like the atmosphere of that game is just impeccable.
Yeah.
But the finals update after update, right? It had a huge launch, but immediately fell down to like 15K, and it's been every update. The stable player base goes up. People look at the numbers of Arc Raiders. People forget that there's 12 million sales of the game. So are
20 million sales.
Are those numbers really that crazy? Or is it just that what you're essentially seeing is that there are tons of people who have their 1 weeknight.
To compare Arc Raiders at 20 million sales and compare your free-to-play game with 5,000 people playing it's not even in the same ballpark.
Where they Arc Raid.
Yeah.
Why do you think Splitgate was charging $80 for microtransactions? Why do you think they were charging $80 for microtransactions? Because they need the money.
And I think that's true, right? Like, I mean, we'll see a lot of players, you play 3 days a week for an hour or two, right? That's tens of thousands of players playing every single week. It's not 1,000 current.
That's great. How many of those people that are playing your game, tens of thousands of people, million people play a month, how many people are spending money in your game? 1 million people a month of the 10,000 people playing. You know what I'm saying? It's the same 10,000 people are playing for that month that gets you 1 million people. That's not 1 million people. That's the same people that just keep coming back and playing your game. But if they're not spending money, what's happening?
Right. It's just math. Like, people are not playing 24 hours a day. They're not playing 7 days a week.
Well, that's one of the things about player counts that people very much underestimate, is that they're like, well, oh my God, 10,000 people.
I mean, if your game was $40 and you had 1 million people play over a month, guess what? You have $40 billion. If you have 1 million people playing your game and it's a free-to-play game and they didn't spend anything, you made $0.
Peak concurrence compared to the juggernauts. And it's like, well, 10,000 peak concurrence probably means over 120,000 people playing every day.
Oh, definitely.
Which is great. Like,
yeah.
do not.
Wait a minute.
Means over 120,000 people playing every day.
I missed that. What's the number you said before?
Very much underestimate is that they're like, well, oh my God, 10,000 peak concurrence compared to the juggernauts. And it's like, well,
10,000 peak concurrent, right? We're at 700. We're at 700. Not the same.
well, 10,000 peak concurrence probably means over 120,000 people playing every day.
Oh, definitely.
Which is great. Like,
yeah.
do not think that just because that is the number. Like, people log on and play for 40 minutes, and then they leave.
Yeah, realistically, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I would almost guarantee over.
How do you not know your numbers? You are the owner of the company.
Million people play the finals every month easily.
The very big.
I love how they're talking about other games and how many people play the game, except their game.
Important question, of course. So what was up with the hat? That's the one people.
This question's coming.
You guys did an AMA. You guys went out there. There was the apology.
I don't care about the hat.
It's funny how
we're gonna skip
very
this.
different making a brand new game than making a sequel. Like,
okay.
Tangent, but like I think the biggest learning lesson for us, and I was telling you this yesterday, was just it is very different making a brand new game than making a sequel. Like, we didn't go into the sequel thinking, oh, we want to go, change the game in all these random ways. Like, we just very simply started with, okay, we got this game Splitgate. What are the things it does really well? Gunplay, portal mechanic, fun modes.
There's the bar, right? What did Splitgate do? There's the bar.
And what are the things that are keeping this game from sustaining long term? Okay, well, objectively, like, there's a lack of variety. You're in an arena shooter and everybody's the same. And
right, so they tried to make Splitgate 2 better by raising the bar from the last game, by abandoning the people that played their first game.
And, we looked at how can we make a game that has deeper progression, has more variety, more ways to play. That was it. Like, that was the whole thought process, was let's take this thing,
had nothing to do with the microtransactions, making more money from it, taking an investment from another company.
And that's where some of those decisions went into, like, okay, we need a faction system for Splitgate 2.
Exactly. Like, that was the thinking. And even with the Battle Royale, which I think the new version is really freaking awesome, but even the launch version was very fun. I think, people sort
How come you didn't have a Battle Royale in your first game?
of assumed it was just a generic Battle Royale. Like, it had a lot of the same elements. It was a fun
I wish
game.
I were paid to say this, but it is actually very fun, and I'm very excited to play more of it, because it scratches a very specific itch of, like, I've been wanting to play more Splitgate since I played it.
Yeah.
But the idea of it
Here's the thing, ready? Right, Cisco says Splitgate 2 was a worse game. Here's the thing. Splitgate 1 was just the game mode. He wanted more game modes in the thing. Well, now they put a Battle Royale in the game mode, right? Well, let's go back to this number over here. Let's go back to this number. This number, okay? Now you have this number of people playing the multiplayer game, and you also have playing Battle Royale. So now you're dividing the player base up, so the people that are playing the other game mode might wait longer for game time, because other people are like, well, I'm just going to go play the Battle Royale because it's faster, because more people are playing that. You only have 700 people playing on Steam. 3,000 people maybe playing total, right? They don't understand that the more game modes you put in, the more you separate the player base.
It fits for me as a perfect, like, oh, I'm in between projects. I got 20 minutes to play a game to just, like, decompress.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Arena Royale fits great. It's so fun. You went from that to making Splitgate 2, the expectations of players, the expectations on the studio, and about 10 times the employees, or 9.
I love this, right? I know I'm a crazy channel, right? I have all these news stories and stuff like that, but everything comes back around, right? The expectations. We started with Bethesda and the expectations that's on Bethesda for making the sequel of the game. Same thing applies to Splitgate 1 to Splitgate 2.
Times?
Yeah. I mean, we went from, we're at like 110 people now, right? Like
those are mouths that need to be fed.
Totally. You need a sustainable business at the end of the day, right?
Yes. Yes, you need a sustainable business. How are you doing it?
Like, we can't have a game that launches and is successful for a couple months and then goes back to a super small player number. That was the motivation and the thinking.
So what's happening? Is this super successful? How do you keep it running?
And of course, that was the big learning point, was like, that's not what the fans wanted. And if you're making a new game from scratch, you can make those decisions. But if you're making a sequel to a game that people loved, you don't get to just change everything. Like, at this point, it's in the hands of the community. And so that's what we learned. And that's what we did the last 6 months was, okay, like,
finish our game that we tried to make, that we didn't make when we first released it.
let's take a step back. What does the community want? And so it was a very different process.
I don't know what their community wants, but as a person that plays video games, I want a game that's done. That's number one. Respect my time and complete your game. Make a game, sell a game.
Building Arena Reloaded, then building 2. 2 was very driven by, okay, almost driven by like metrics, like what's causing people to quit and not retain long term. And what we saw in Splitgate 1 was very good short term retention, not so good long term retention.
Not work.
Had nothing to do with people didn't really want to play a arena shooter anymore. Had nothing to do with that.
Because you get burnt out.
And
so
that's what led to those sorts of decisions that some people would look at and say like, oh, but this feels very like standard. This feels like the box standard of what every shooter does.
Yeah. Oh, there's a reason that a lot of these shooters do those things, right? Right or wrong, that is what goes through, I'm sure, many people's brains. But with Arena Reloaded, it was like, okay, throw that playbook out the window. What does the core want?
Can we just remind you that it went from Splitgate to Splitgate 2. Then they put it back in beta and they came out with Splitgate Arena Reloaded. Right? They changed the name from Splitgate 2 to Splitgate Arena Reloaded.
They want more Splitgate. They want more Koth, Dom, TDM. They don't want classes. They don't want abilities. They want power-ups. They want classic gunplay movements, portals. And so that was the motivation. Party modes. Let's bring back Shoddy Snipes gun game, SWAT.
Shoddy Snipes is so good. But how many of those decisions of let's look at the metrics, let's design a game for the long term, for that retention, for that monetization, how much of that do you feel was compromised in making the team bigger? I know you had some issues with your previous monetization director, for example, with some of the decisions made there and prices.
Yeah.
How much gets swept up in a whirlwind when you suddenly expand this way and you're like, okay, we need to make this game? Do you feel like things get lost in that transition, that you just can't oversee everything?
It's all about the team. You hire the right people. You build.
Oh, hire the right people, which means management needs to hire the right people, which means you have to hire a good manager.
Build trust and get alignment with those people, and then you let them go do their jobs, right? And so I think this is a much more ambitious project. There's a lot of moving parts. We're going to have to divvy up who's doing what. But ultimately, like, we know the goals. We know what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Didn't feel like people jump in and are like, look, this is what we have to do to obtain this result. And then suddenly things happen that you should have maybe thought about before.
The things I pay attention to end up being the things I like, right? Like, just naturally, what are the things that are fun for me? And so a lot of my time is spent on gunplay and movement, because those are the things that, like, I care about a lot. Like, I want the guns to feel perfect. I want the slide mechanic, the movement to feel perfect. I don't know anything about, like, progression, for example. I'm very uninvolved, like, because I've never cared about that. Same as like skins. Like, I've
but
never
you
purchased a
have
skin
proven
in
that
any game.
When people bring it up, like Reddit AMAs, or they talk to you directly and they say this is an issue that maybe wasn't on your radar, you have proven, like, because I did a lot of research, I've read a lot of what you've said on the internet. You go and you actually like talk to those people and be like, hey, this isn't cool.
Yeah,
we can't do this.
I read the Reddit and I basically read everything every day. That's why we reached out to you, because I watched your entire video. So I try to be, and actually it's funny you say this. I had about a year where I deleted all social media. This was probably 2020.
It's probably a smart thing for everybody to do.
And because I hate social media and I think it's bad for your brain and all sorts of things.
I agree, but I'm part of it, so.
But that's why I downloaded it again, because I'm like, I can't lose touch with the community. Like, I have to be on social media. I have to be on Reddit every day. I have to talk to even people.
The problem with changing the game once it's released, okay, with the community, There's so many different people that your community wants to see in your game that wasn't in another game. And then you start chasing. You just start chasing. You don't know your vision. Your vision was what Splitgate 1 was. But then you changed it to what you thought it should be. And then you changed it back to what it wasn't. You know, it's like, yes, your community's there, but you really should know what your game you're making before you go out to the community.
Who hate me, I have to talk to them. I have to listen to them.
No, I mean, I love it in the moment, but it feels like you're putting horrible junk food into your body and you're like conscious that you should stop. But then you go, oh, I need to do this for my job. Like my job will suffer if I get off Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Two very important questions that I want you to address for people. I do want to say very quickly, I think that if you had gone on SGF without the hat and just had said, we deserve Titanfall 3,
I think people are making a bigger deal of the hat than anything else. I really do. I don't really think the hat is what fucking bombed the game.
I think you would have gotten the headlines you wanted anyways.
You're probably right. Yeah, it's funny. I had one of the things we were
Did Travis just give a quote from Bill Belichick? What the fuck is happening right now? The man who doesn't watch sports ball, as he says, Bill Belichick best once quote, if you wait till halftime to change your strategy, it's too fucking late. What is happening right now? Travis is giving us sports analogy.
nervous about in SGF was like, will people just not even notice anything and just that was
they're watching it on mute. Yeah.
Right. So, and actually, the other thing that was really interesting was, and I think this is why you're right about this. On the internet, people were very upset because there's a close up. You can see the hats. The audience at the actual event, I got.
Oh, yeah, when you said Titanfall 3, people cheered. That's what they cheered for. That's what they love. They love the idea of COD every year is shit, man.
No, but I think you're right, and that probably would have been the right balance of like boldness, but not pissing people off, and certainly not. I mean, we weren't trying to be political, but you're probably right. And I do wish we had Titanfall 3 for the record. I think Titanfall was such an incredible series.
So the two big things I want you to say out there, in case you hadn't noticed, tons of developers do watch my channel. Tons of aspiring developers, people in the industry. They think I don't know, but I know because enough of them reach out. What would you say to people right now that are trying to make a game with your experience, from nothing to this whirlwind that has been Splitgate that isn't over yet? That's the next question. If you could send a message to people out there in the industry, hey, what would you say of like, don't give up or whatever?
I think this is where he says what I want to talk about.
Whatever you want to say. What's your advice for people looking to make it?
Well, it's funny. I do think don't give up is actually incredibly valuable advice. I think, though, I would just say find a way to stay alive as long as possible. We almost gave up many times, like with Splitgate 1 in particular. We launched it. It failed. It was a huge disappointment to us. Spent months trying to improve it. We launched another season thinking, okay, we fixed it. It's going to be good now. And it was like a tiny little bump. And there's a lot that happened in those 2 years also of ups and downs. But we just knew the game is fun. We believe in it. We're just going to find a way to stay alive. And I should probably be a lot more stressed out right now than I am, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think it's going to work. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I think it's going to work. And
I think you believe in your game, which is impressive.
Which I have respect for, right? If you like your game, that's the make the game part, right? Then you have to sell it. And I think that any developer that likes the game they make, that's what you should do. You should have the passion that you want in the game. So I mad respect for that, right? Regardless of what's happening with the game. If that's the game you wanted to put out, great.
Impressive.
I do.
Like, it's rare.
Too quickly. It's very easy to give up. I think you just got to keep grinding, listen to your community, just keep improving the game, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. That's my advice.
There's a lot of stuff coming for Splitgate because you guys, you said you're stable, you're working on it, you believe in this project. People who don't play Splitgate, why should they go and play right now? Why should they dedicate time to this game when there is we live in a culture of FOMO and Steam charts and all of these things? Why should they go play it? I've said it in my videos, but I want them to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, relive the glory days. That's my pitch. If you're like you or me,
it becomes a problem.
There was a part that he says, I regret.
It becomes a valuable IP for investors to come into to try and make something more out of what is there. What was that process like?
It's an interesting process because I think a lot of people sort of assume that it was something very different than what it was. Like the process, to be honest, was we were blowing up so quickly that all of a sudden we found ourselves with tons of investors saying we want to invest. And I mean, I think I had about 15 conversations with different investors and publishers in like a 5-day window. I think the great thing about being in that situation was they had to pitch us just as much as we had to pitch them. And so for us, like we were looking for a partner that was in this for the long run.
You got the pick of the litter. You got to choose.
Yeah.
You got to be picky.
So for us, it was like, we wanted to go in.
Oh, I guess I could do that. I didn't even think about that. How do I get the transcript? Where do you look up the transcript? Thanks, clip, download, report. Where's the transcript? I don't think I have the transcript over here. I don't think you can.
Into this and say, look, this is the game we're making. It's going to take time to do it the right way. Basically, don't rush us. Like, we want to make the game we want to make. If you're on
don't rush you, but yet you released the game that was incomplete. Hence why you put it back in beta.
board with that, let's partner. And it really is a partnership. And if you're not, then, you know, we
got offers. Yeah, there's other people out here that want that from us.
Yeah. So it was a very fortunate spot and a very quick process also, I'll say.
So how quickly did it all go down?
We had our first conversation on, like, I want to say on a Thursday, and we signed a term sheet like the following Wednesday.
Crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, the thing is, that's not normal. But when it's crazy times, like, people move fast, right?
Did you feel like that was people wanting to strike as quickly as possible while the iron was hot?
Yeah. And just there's...
And you took the deal. You took the deal. You took the money. And I think you kind of lost something.
Your competitive juices are flowing just as much as ours are, right? So...
Do you think they really understood, the people who were pitching you, that this wasn't like get in quick, make money today? Like, there was a timeline. That video games aren't sudden; they don't magically happen.
No, I think they do, and I mean, the last few years have shown me that. Like, they've been very supportive of everything we've done and taking our time, and even with, you know, relaunching, like us saying, "Hey, we got to
take your time," and then use the same word in a sentence of relaunching.
We got to hit the reset button here. Like, no pushback on that at all.
So at that point, you're looking for these investors. Well, you're getting pitched by these investors. You're looking at the potential to grow the team, to make something bigger out of Splitgate. What was the ideas running through your mind that eventually, I imagine, catalyzed into Splitgate 2? We got to move on from what we've created. We have to do something new. Probably the one decision that has been...
They never finished Splitgate 1, by the way.
...criticized the most of 1047 and Splitgate's life is, the game was good, why did you leave? Right? You went for milk and cigarettes, bro. What is this?
There's probably other decisions.
Oh, we'll get to them.
More than that. I would say, you know, if you look at the timeline, like when we chose to move on to the sequel, the game was effectively dead at that point.
Eventually, it was dead. He said it was dead where they moved on.
So it wasn't like, oh, we're crushing it and we're going to kill this thing. It was...
You never finished released it. You never finished released it.
It's like, yeah, we've now done a few seasons. We've been out for a year. The player base, it's kind of too little too late at that point. The other thing we were running into, you know, building a game with 15 people when it's your first game, like there was a lot of tech debt. There were decisions that we made that were just not good decisions. I mean, the game is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Splitgate 1, but there were a lot of decisions where it's like just the way we wanted to make a game mode, for example, like very difficult in Splitgate 1 versus with Splitgate Arena Reloaded, like the way that we have redone that code, we could go pump out a game mode much faster. So I think a lot of it was just like, okay, we're in this position where we got all this tech debt. We're on an old engine. We don't think we're going to iterate our way out of this with our current player base. Because the other thing is when you get down to like super small numbers, now matchmaking isn't good. So even if you have the best game in the world.
So what's happening with your game right now? Are we still good?
You're going to have to deal with long queue times and poorly balanced games and high ping and like all of those trade-offs. You could have, like I said, game could be amazing, but if it's not going to be amazing if you're playing on 150 ping after 10 minutes of waiting to go get destroyed, right?
Wait, give me a good soundbite. that
yeah, we already saw this part. Maybe I cut it off over here. I don't know. Maybe it was the hat part.
Like that was the right answer. The right it's not going to work. You'll get a tiny bump, and then you're doing layoffs, and that sucks. And so I don't think. Again, I'm not trying to justify this. I'm just that was what was going through my sleep-deprived head and multiple people's sleep-deprived heads at the time.
So the motivation there was like, what is the most hot button, like news-grabbing thing we can do?
To some degree, you know, I think it was really just like how you stand out. And
all right, well, that's where we'll leave it. I can't remember where he said it. Maybe it was earlier in the video. I'm not going to watch the whole video again because I watched it. I'm going to put that in the link in the description down below. If you guys want to go watch that full video, you're more than welcome to. Mug Thief. Let me see here. We'll put it right up on top. There you go. Yeah, so it's just funny to me because I like I like listening to developers talk because we talk about a lot of stuff on this channel of developers and how games are made. And the reason I talk about it is because it's very closely knit to how movies are made. And I worked in the movie industry for 20 years. I understand that side. I don't understand this side completely, okay? But there's lots of cross patterns that happen across from that entertainment business to this piece of entertainment business. I do have friends that work in the video game industry. We've had long conversations about and stuff like this. They are developers. They went to school with me. They've worked on big, massive, big games and stuff like that. But all the devs always say certain things, but it's like they don't want to cross the threshold of giving you all the goods, right? Again, it's a free-to-play game. Okay, it's a free-to-play game, and their numbers aren't doing good, right? Look at Highguard. Look at other games. There's a difference between a $40 price tag and a $30 price tag and a free-to-play game, right? Toxic Commandos, $40 game. That might sell 250,000 copies. That might sell 1 million copies. That might sell 4 million copies, okay? But at least they're making the money up front. And if their budget of the game was $100 million, you're going to have to sell at least 2.5, 3 million copies to get that money back, and then the profit on top of that, right? So you have to sell 4 million copies, all depending on what the budget was, right? Their budget is making all their money back on microtransactions. And when you have numbers like this, again, I'll bring it back up. If you have numbers like this, you're not making your money back unless everybody that's playing the game is spending $30 a month, okay, buying your game. Basically buying your game because they're buying a microtransaction. It's a season pass, cosmetic, portal, whatever it is. So it's just mind-boggling to me that, and again, I know they're putting a face on. They're like, oh yeah, no, hopefully we can. There's a pool of money they're pulling from right now. If it's investors, if it's their own, and every time they go every month, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're just trying to recoup as much as they can. Again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. Krebsy says, do you think they should have done a Fortnite black hole thing when Fortnite was also offline for like a week, switching from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5? You think this would also have been maintained player count better? I don't know. Splitgate 1, let's be honest. I don't think Splitgate 1 had a massive player base either. I mean, it started with 67,000, right? 67,000. I mean, look at it. It was an alpha or whatever it was, right? Still an alpha. But then it jumped to 67 and they lost it super fast. And then they just maintained. And that's it, right? They abandoned it to make Splitgate 2. Which then they do Splitgate 2, and then they stop Splitgate 2 to go back into beta, and then come out with Splitgate Arena Reloaded. This is bad management. I'm sorry. I know they're learning or whatever. That's an expensive mistake. Twice. And now your bad mistakes are affecting, hundreds of people, not just tens of people. I'm talking about the developers. Altarn says they also lost it because it's the same month they announced they will stop supporting it. Yes, it's so stupid. It really is, Taco. It is a shit show. And I know it's easy for me to just stand here and just say shit like this, but at the same time, it's just as easy for them to not follow the same mistakes that people made in front of them. Do you know why I don't put a fork in a light socket? Because someone put a fucking fork in a light socket, right? Do you know why I keep my hands on the steering wheel? Because someone took their hands off the steering wheel, right? Like, I don't need to do the thing myself to learn mistakes. And the video game industry just keeps making the same mistakes. Do you know why they keep making the same mistakes? Do you know why they keep making the same mistakes? I know why they keep making the same mistakes. Because they're trying to pull one over on you, the customer. They're trying to put a minimal viable product out there, okay? They're trying to just make the money without doing the work. And I understand me saying that. It's like, they're doing the work. Yeah, they're doing the work. I like to call it the 99% method, okay? 100% is finished. You ever see those guys that run really fast like in a track meet or when they intercept a football and run full speed, they're running full speed. But at the very end, they let up because they think they have the touchdown or they think they have the win. And then someone passes them, knocks the ball out. Okay. And they don't get the touchdown. They don't win the race. Okay. Because they thought they had it in the bag. And then they sit there. And then that moment of their life is now little snapshot. And they're like, holy shit. If I only gave it 100% of my time for 100% of the race, I would have had that. But instead, I gave it 99%. I gave it a minimal viable product. It doesn't matter if you ran 100 yards and you stop at 99. You failed. You failed yourself. You failed everything else. And you just try to get the money. And that's what most of these companies try to do. They just try to get the money. They're like, it's good enough. It's good enough. Let's see how much money we can make on the microtransactions. Sad. All right. That's going to do it for me today. We gave you an extra 46 minutes. I usually go to noon, maybe a little bit after. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as low as $5. We'll be back tonight. Today is Wednesday. We'll be playing some Space Marines 2 over on 30 and Still Gaming. I played a little bit this weekend with Sarge. We played like the prologue and we played like the first mission. We'll be going through the rest of the game, or as much as we can, through the game tonight. Over on 30 and Still Gaming. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Dressed in a vest, they say trust us, yeah, we've heard that before. Same old story from the corporate store. Call it Midgard, not quite there. Call it overguard, overpromise there. Call it high watch, just watching it fall. But they still call it Highguard, like it's standing tall. Free to play, but it's paying in time. Not complete, not polished, not ready to shine. They say it's gold, but it's barely bronze. Highguard name, but the hype is gone. Hey, minutes feel empty. Live service skin, free to play, but the content's light, like a store page dream with no real bite. Characters cool, combat's okay, but the whole thing feels halfway baked. Blueprint build, not the final form, feels like a beta dressed up in a uniform. Roadmap talk, future tense lies, soon incoming and corporate replies. Always tomorrow, never today, always one patch away. Call it Midgard, middle of the road. Call it overguard, overhyped code. Call it high watch, just watching it stall. But they still call it Highguard, like it's got it all. Free to play, but it's missing its soul. Not complete, not deep, not fully whole. They sold the dream, but shipped the frame. Highguard title, mid-tier game. Game awards, lights don't finish a game. Hype don't polish code, trailers don't change. Marketing loud, but systems are quiet. You can't patch vision, you can't fake buy-in. Players don't hate, they just want it real. Not a store page promise, but something to feel. Call it Midgard, honest name. Call it overguard, overplayed game. Call it high watch, watch the trust fall. But they still call it Highguard, like it stands tall. Free to play, but it's not complete. Feels like a launch that shouldn't be released. Maybe one day it'll rise, maybe one day it'll shine. But today, it's a beta with the headline. Highguard by name, Midgard by design. Free to play dream, not finished in time. Highguard by name, Midgard by design. Free to play dream, not finished in time. Free to play dream, not finished.